Right.
Golly. I mean, if we don't get out of group, whatever, we're hosting the World Cup in 4 years.
We've been blocked by Facebook.
What?
You recently posted something that violates Facebook policy, so you're temporarily blocked from using this feature.
What the hell could we have posted?
David, it's something that was in the, I have no idea. I don't know if we ran a play of the day that violates copyright laws. I have no idea.
Huh. Bastards. Bastards, I tell you.
Let's see if I can post. Your video is blocked. Huh.
All right.
Wonder how we got banned from Facebook. That's fine.
I know.
We're edgy, David.
Were our picks that bad?
6:15 segment?
Absolutely. So my 0-7-1 doesn't get us banned, but your 0-5 does.
How the heck are you? I'm trying to figure out what I said.
What? Huh?
What'd I say, man? What'd I say?
Man, Facebook really hated the idea of that Gators Knowles game at Friday night, huh?
I got a good text on that, by the way, too, from someone who listened to the podcast.
Good.
From a UF alum who's all for the game being played on Friday.
All right. Paul, there's nothing in this room that was provided by the hotel. No water, no food, nothing even to pay for. Nothing. Had to get it all myself. So what you're seeing is a Pepsi Zero and some chocolate chip cookies. It's a breakfast.
Really healthy.
Yep. That's what you're seeing.
Did your wife ever...
Here we go, guys.
She doesn't watch.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you from Indianapolis and Southwest Florida. We ask, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this final Tuesday of November. Week, what is it? 12 in the books in the NFL. The college football regular season over. Next time there is football played, the month will be December. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, David. Thank you for asking. It's, you had a entertaining Monday Night Football game, I guess.
Well, it took a while to heat up.
If you say so.
Let me tell you, that first half, the Colts were saying to the Texans, hold my beer as to who's the worst team in the league. Then it got exciting. You know why, Mark? Do you know something happened that we very rarely see? It's like a bird or an animal on the extinct species list. It's called a kickoff return. That's right. There used to be them all over the place. Just wait a few minutes and you'd see one. And now,
Nearing extinction, David. You are right.
nothing but touchbacks. And then when you see one, it takes your breath away.
Even when you see a bad one, sometimes it does, because that means you get a good hit or perhaps a fumble or something explosive happens on that play.
Daddy, what is that? Son, that's a kickoff return. Let me tell you about the days of Devin Hester and Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Telling you, if you throw that, there's a TikTok account that does things like the rotary phone, and he does everything in this old English accent. You start doing that in a kickoff return, you might have something there. Son, but we go back days to the days of the glorious kickoff return.
You know, there was a Super Bowl once, son, in which, a gentleman caught the ball and decided to run with it. And by the time he was done running, he had scored a touchdown. Yes, the Super Bowl began that way once. Way back when. But those were the days, son. So, next thing you had, Colts had 4 kickoff returns for 196 yards. They had 90 yards of offense, meanwhile, at that point in time. 90. But they had 196 yards in kickoff returns. We were all looking around at one another like, are they allowed to do that? Is that a legal play? Mark, he caught a ball 8 yards deep in the end zone and ran it out. I thought like 2 officials were going to tackle him and go, that is against the rules. So, yes, that's what I saw last night. The rarest of creatures.
And like all NFL games, it comes down to the final possession because that's the way the league is designed.
They really got this thing figured out. They really do.
You know, David, you remember, and I don't know if it's still said, but a generation ago, it was like, oh, you don't have to watch the NBA. You just have to watch the final 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
We're getting to the point where you could say that about the National Football League. Or at least the final 4 minutes.
And this in a week in which there were only 3 games that involve winning teams. Do you know next week, beginning with Thursday night, I don't know what Al and Kirk are going to do. On paper, they have a real game. Bills and Patriots. I have no idea what they're going to do. Do either one of them remember how to call such a thing? But there are 6 games in week 13 involving winning teams playing one another. 6! Hell, Mark, that's just about damn near every team with a winning record in the league is playing someone else who looks just like them.
Good, because we've had several weeks where there have been no winning teams seemingly playing against winning teams, or 1 game at tops. We had more on Thursday than we did on Sunday, for crying out loud.
5 games in week 12 decided in the last 20 seconds of regulation or overtime. 5 out of 16. The Chargers and Jaguars doing what they did Sunday, the 2-point conversion to win in the closing seconds. First time since the 2-point conversion was adopted in 94 that ever happened. And the Colts were driving to that very same possibility last night before the Steelers stopped them. 79 games so far through 12 weeks decided by 6 points or less. Can't even imagine what the number is if you go to 7. But 79 in 12 weeks. So you're talking about darn near 7 games a week decided by 6 points or less. And it's almost half the schedule. About 45% of the games are decided by 6 points or less. So, and we've had 36 games. So basically 3 games every week, Mark, in which a team is up 10 at some point in the game and they lose. That's the NFL season so far. I mean, you got to admit, that's not bad.
No, and when you factor in most of those big leads in the fourth quarter involve the Ravens blowing them, it's a really good team with a really good quarterback, so it adds to the spice of it just a little bit. I mean, it's one thing when it's the Lions and Jags blowing 10 points leads. It's another when it's the Ravens and some good teams that have been able to pull this off this year.
So there you have it.
Do you think we are at the height of, because this is like a new league. Punters aren't used. We go for it on fourth downs. We're going for 2-pointers. We're playing the game differently right now than I ever remember it watching it. Do you think we're at the height of that, or is it going to get crazier down the road? Do you think that not that analytics have run their course, because they've not, and they will continue to be a part of it. But do you think we're at the highest rate of fourth down, going for it on fourth down, the highest rate of 2-point conversions, or do you think this will even increase more in the next 2, 3, 4 years?
I think it will increase more. I think that there will be more younger coaches, more first-time coaches, and more ownerships and front offices that think this way. And I believe that we're still on the upswing because even though we've seen in a lot of cases points being down this year, that the belief is I'm having trouble stopping the other side. So I might as well keep the ball. Because if I give up the ball, I'm in trouble. The other team's going to move it. It's just a matter of, can I find a way to rope a dope and get that one stop? You know, nobody just shuts down. That's why what happened last night in the first half was like, oh, my goodness. I mean, honestly, the Colts at 71 yards and a half. There were 7 minutes left in the first half before the Colts got their first down, before Matt Ryan completed his first pass. It's 23 minutes. It's over an hour to start a game. I mean, remember, they work all week. They come up with those, first 15, 20 plays. Yeah, zip, zilch, nada. So, yeah, I still think we're on the upswing. I do. I also think, Mark, that Chris Collinsworth tried to get into something Sunday night while the game was going on. And it's really difficult to go big picture while a game is going on, unless it's a blowout. And they had a good game, entertaining. And so Tirico was kind of like, that's interesting. We got to get back to the action. In which Collinsworth's talking about what the quarterback of the 2020s and 2030s is going to look like. Are we now transitioning away from Brady, Manning, Rodgers to Lamar, Jalen Hurts, that your quarterback has to be able to run, has to be mobile, and that you wonder, are they a good enough thrower, but are they good enough, and I'll take it because I got to have the legs. I got to have like if you're a Bears fan right now, if I say to you, Justin Fields is never going to be good enough 8 yards behind center to win a Super Bowl. But you go, yeah, but have you seen the other part of Justin Fields? You combined, what he's got 8 yards behind center with what else he brings to the table, and sign me up. I'll take my chances over the next 10 years.
Well, you and I have talked about this going back many years to what do you do with I think it was Tebow or Kaepernick, and do you go all in and have 3 of them? And I think that's probably the next step, that you're going to see backups that don't, that just don't look like the clipboard guy, that the backup's going to play a similar game to what the starting quarterback is. That's what I'm waiting for, because that even makes more sense to me, because it brings another element in. Even for teams that have a guy that plays 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage, I might want a quarterback that runs behind him.
And we've got coaches and organizations right now that are all in on analytics. They're going to do it for a full season every single time, because that's what you have to do to get the percentages to work out in your favor at the end. Well, are those same organizations, Mark, going to crunch the numbers and go, I'm never paying 40 and 50 million for a quarterback? Just not doing it. Not doing it. I'll draft one in the first or second round even, and I may pick up their 5th-year option. And you know what? If they're really good, I'll go tag. But then that's it. Then I'm moving on. Basically, Mark, when is there an NFL team that'll be the Tampa Bay Rays? Yeah, I know he's a really good player. I don't know what to tell you. He's about to make obscene money. We don't do that here. Sorry. Got to go. May look like a step back, but you know what? There's a few different ways to win these games.
Right. Your team has X% of the cap invested in 4 players. Our team can invest X% of that same cap in 8, 9 players.
Adam goes, a future at Taysom Hills. Hey, Sean Payton, the same guy who helped Drew Brees be top 3 in all those records. Sean Payton is the one who was absolutely positively fascinated with Taysom Hill.
And was convinced he could win with him.
Yes, a Super Bowl. I mean, would tell NFL teams or announcing crews in production meetings, when they'd go, hey, who's going to replace Drew Brees? He'd say, oh, he's in the building. And we found out later he meant Taysom Hill. So no, Mark. I don't think we've peaked. Now, don't get me wrong. I think we're going to go down this road for the rest of the decade. And in the 2030s, you know what we're going to do? We're going to circle back. What's old is new again.
Miller and Moulton. Great show lined up for you today. David Samson to talk baseball, Pat Kirwan to talk football, and Tommy Smyth to talk football on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So back to what was important. I had questions for you here.
All right. I just want to say, KW, I'm in a JW Marriott. This is not Spartan. Continue.
Since you go with the cookies and the wife is always wanting you to eat healthier, Do you try to get the food done before you think she tunes in, or do you not care? Does she ever text giving you crap for eating?
She doesn't do the Twitch thing. The only chance of her seeing us on Twitch is if she heads on over to the grandchild's
That's
early in the morning to watch. And for whatever reason, they put us on occasionally.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know why they do that to that poor child. To have a 10-month-old child look up at the TV screen and see this. Why would they do that to that child?
Grandpa.
Child does. You could be.
Although
grandpa.
you're above I-10, you could be pawpaw.
Technically, just below I-10.
Yeah,
Make the turn and go south.
gotcha. You're far enough north that you could be pawpaw.
Damn, if that happens, we're moving again. Speaking of which, message from the wife.
Uh-oh. David, oh, there you are.
What, something happened?
You froze for a half a second. Just the sound went away. Johnny Mac, you're late to the party. They're chocolate chip.
Yeah, I never do oatmeal cookies, Johnny Mac. Sorry. Not that I'm against them, but no.
I am.
I'm paying for
I
them.
don't like oatmeal. I don't like oatmeal raisin. I like chocolate chip. I like a peanut butter cookie. That's a good cookie right there. It's got a little crunch to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Soft in the middle, hard on the edges. It's Tate's Bake Shop.
Ooh, Tate's is good cookies.
Mm-hmm. From Long Island, Southampton.
Little Mel Brooks for everybody this morning, since we're already off of Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think Ben Volin here has it right. Pretty much a 9-team race for 7 spots in the AFC.
No, 8 for 7 in the NFC. Last spot will come down to Giants or Seahawks.
Unless, of course, Jacksonville wins out, Adam.
Right.
Houston #1 since by Slamma Jamma.
Yes. One of the best teams to not win a title.
Yep. Clyde and Hakeem. "15 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for waking up with us. 43 degrees here in Indianapolis. Steelers beating the Colts 24-17 in Monday Night Football. Mark in the cozy confines of the 239. Is it, I'm told, a touch, I don't want to say chillier, but just
Cooler.
yeah, there you go.
A touch cooler than it was yesterday. It's wonderful. Just fantastic this morning. Low to mid 60s. No humidity in the air. It was fantastic. Frank, the dog, liked it just as much as I did this morning at 4:45 in the morning.
I mean, it's a couple days away from December, so, highs today's in the Southwest Florida and, 83 degrees, something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Sounds about right.
Something happened, David, overnight, and I don't know how, I don't know why, and I can't explain it. But part of what I do every morning when I come in to do the show is set up the broadcast so that I can hook up with David, essentially via a Zoom call. We use a streaming service that's not Zoom, but you've probably never heard of it, so make it easier for people. And then that allows us to hook up to different social media platforms. We do the show on YouTube, we do the show on Facebook, and we do the show on Twitch. And Twitch is the main thing that we advertise to our listeners because it's very interactive. It allows people to, the chat room is constantly talking about stuff that we're not or adding along with the show.
And there's a chance to make $13 to $17 on Twitch. And,
right.
and the other two won't pay us. So, when in doubt, Miller and Moulton would like to be able to, split it, pay off what you got, and, we can each get a coffee.
And Facebook's fun for me because occasionally friends from my hometown that I grew up with will pop into the chat room, say something obnoxious, and leave. And I always get a kick out of that. But today when I went to hook everything up, I found out that we've been barred from by Facebook.
What?
They threw us out.
Why?
We did something yesterday that broke their rules, and I have no idea what it is. We are that edgy, David.
Was it our picks? Are they that bad?
So I go 0-5 and they throw us off Facebook?
I went 07-1. You still kept us 1 week. Come on now. Our picks are that bad? I had a 5-3 week. Come on now. Lee Sterling's had a winning year. Got his game of the week right. His college football blowout of the year right. Come on now.
Were our picks that bad?
What do we do? Was it the play of the day? Are we violating some copyright thing? Come on, we got 138 people listening to this show. It can't be that bad.
So for the first time in my adult life, I've been thrown in Facebook jail. And I don't ever post anything on Facebook to not get thrown in jail.
Well,
I just use it to voyeur other people, for crying out loud.
Also, who do we appeal to? Like, if we get thrown off Twitter, we at least know who to appeal to. I mean, it's a one-person jury, but that's okay. We know who it is. Who do I talk to? Is there a 1-800 number to call?
That's exactly what it is. Try 1-800 Facebook, David, and see what that gets you.
You would think, by the way, that would be the number. You really would. Maybe if they're crazy, they'd go like 888. If they're bat blank crazy, they'd go 877 Facebook. I mean, honestly, you would think that would be it. You know what? I'm going to do it.
Good.
Some of us of a certain age. Have you ever? It's 1-something in the morning. You're at the bar. The bar's either just closed or it's closing at 2. All right. And you're going to go home alone. And you just decide for the heck of it, I'm going to call in the area code that I'm in, 867-5309. Did you ever do that?
I did. And it was, first off, you got to have the prefix that works in the area that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I have tried it. Most of the time I get the operator telling me it's a number that's no longer in service.
I understand. And you could do, the really big cities. You can throw a New York or LA area code in front of it. And that'll work. I mean, they've got millions of people. They got to have an 867-5309. But if you want to be creative, you go, you wonder, does anybody in Albuquerque have this number? And you try it, and this, that, and the other thing. And I feel that, maybe that's it with Facebook.
For those wondering that are under the age of 40, What David is talking about is a song by Tommy Two-Tone back in the day called Jenny, 8675309.
Right.
I just figure at some point, I think we owe that public service to anyone listening who's going, what in the hell is David talking about right now?
I agree. Usually I'm the one providing it, but since, I'm the oldest one on the show, and goodness knows my soul is 312 years old, that, yes, you need to point that out, because I can tell Felipe is staring at you through the glass going, well, what the heck? But I would love to know it's not the goal call that we had from late last week when the guy went on for like 23 seconds.
It was yesterday's show. I mean, I literally would, during the break, went on our Facebook page, which is Miller and Moulton, by the way. We have a Facebook page, David. Just wanted to let you know. That's not for our audience. They know already.
Do they let us keep the page? They didn't take the page away from us.
No, they
right?
just took the video down and will not let us post any more videos right now.
Is it something Danielson said?
Probably.
I didn't think so.
I've got a good idea what it was.
Huh.
I think it was something that's something you said during a break.
What?
It's either that or somehow with our play of the day, we got a violation. It can't be anything else.
Was I off color? Did I curse?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Once again, how do I apologize to Facebook? Like, if I did something on Twitter, I know where to go. Elon, I'm sorry. Do you have any influence with them? You billionaires, you know each other, you hang together. Can you call Mark up? Let him know we're sorry. I'm sorry.
So we've been banned.
Do we know
We're
for
in
how
Facebook
long?
jail. It's a great question.
I mean, even Griner knows how long she's in the, gulag there. I mean, how long is this going to last?
Probably 30 days.
What? What did I say? 30 days. I haven't even been forced to sleep on the couch for anything I did for 30 days. Goodness sakes.
I think after the way I've been picking games, I should sleep on the couch.
Hell, might sleep on the stoop after last week. Man. I mean, it's bad when your 8-year-old daughter goes, hey, don't associate me with your picks.
Wants nothing to do with them anymore. Thought the show was cute right up until the point I included her, and now she's done. People have been walking up to her in school going, don't ever do that. Her teachers are like, don't follow your father. He can't pick a game to save his life this year. Don't ruin your reputation with his.
Don't follow your father. It's pretty traumatizing for an 8-year-old. Sorry, you need to disavow your dad.
Good for a lot of things, but don't do anything with that radio show, whatever you do.
You can still call him dad, and you can still eat his cooking, but everything else is, hell, they were banned by Facebook, for goodness sakes, okay? Just listen to me.
So we're in Facebook jail.
What?
So if you are trying to find us, you'll have to go to twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton to watch the show. Obviously, you can still listen in all the usual places in Lake City, Port Charlotte, Tampa, St. Pete, and in Southwest Florida.
Once again, who do I apologize to?
I think you know.
Sense? I'll send
And
an
email. I don't think he's listening.
I'll send an email. That's always worked well for me in the past.
Right. Make it extra snarky, too, because that always helps.
Subject, and another thing, ... No? Huh.
Oh, boy. Maybe I should have just kept this to myself after all.
Maybe I can get us banned from Twitch and Twitter, too.
Miller and Moulton, the starting five is next, at least I think.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Was it taking the Colts and laying 2.5? What did I say?
That's funny.
What's that?
KW's little thing there.
Chris, I never remembered that. Then again, if it was the gym, I wouldn't be paying attention to it. Because it sounds like that's where you go to exercise. So I forgot to bring my best set of glasses to the game last night. But I always have my backup glasses in a little thing, and I always bring that case with me. So it turns out they slide off. They're a little too big, a little too loose on the sides, and so every time I look down, they want to slide off. So I was working the whole night holding on to my glasses. Oh, baby.
Yeah, how about apparently that presser, the Iranian U.S. presser, and they start asking about our foreign policy, and they start asking about
Right.
discrimination in our country, and
Right. Yeah.
it would have been better if when he was told when Berhalter there was told he mispronounced the country's name, if he would have started singing "Flock of Seagulls, I Ran So Far Away" on the stage.
Would have been great. If he had shown up with like a fake hair thing, put it on.
30 seconds.
So it's Iran, correct? Not Iran.
Iran, yeah.
Iran.
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 Okay.
Ten seconds.
I'm sorry. Are you supporting Russia in their invasion of Ukraine? I believe we'll call it Iran.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm finishing up my stay in Indianapolis after the Steelers won on Monday Night Football last night. You know, Mark, just the fifth road team to win out of the 16 games played in Week 12. Home teams went 11-5.
Finally, a little home field advantage going on in the NFL, because that's not been the case most of the year.
2-1 on Thanksgiving Day, but then 9-3 Sunday. I mean, home field was really cooking on Sunday. But 11-5 overall. Underdogs, favorites, both 8-8. So, if you had the whole, I'm going to take the points this week, I'm going to lay the points this week. Yeah, same record. 6 underdogs won outright, though. Kind of the numbers behind the numbers. Anyway. So you got that going for you, which is nice. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Sometimes you have to endure a bad season. But during the bad season, you go, this guy's not bad. Hey, this guy can play. Wow. Maybe we're not that far away after all. Mark, there were times last night where the Pittsburgh Steelers looked like that team. Rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett. There were times in which you went, he looks like he can play. They got Pickens, the rookie wide receiver from Georgia.
He can play.
He can play.
Flat out, he can play.
Correct. And he joined a team that already had Deontay Johnson on the other side. You got Najee Harris in the backfield.
Got a halfway decent tight end there.
And Freiermuth there, in which all of a sudden the offensive line looks okay. And you're starting to look at the Steelers and you go, maybe, just maybe, there's a good team that's not that far away in there. And that was on display last night. Steelers jumped out to a 13-point lead. Colts came back, had a 1-point lead in the fourth quarter. Kenny Pickett goes 3 for 3 on third downs and a 75-yard touchdown drive. Throw in the 2-point conversion. Steelers 24, Indianapolis Colts 17. What most NFL talking heads are going to be talking about today, if you didn't stick around for the end of the game, or for that matter, for any of the game, And see, you got this Jeff Saturday guy. 3 weeks ago, he was an ESPN talking head. Now he's an NFL head coach. And, 2-minute drill. They got 3 timeouts. They're in good field position. And they ran a couple of plays in 1 minute and 9 seconds. And one of them was a sack. And between the quarterback, who's been around 47 years, and the head coach, neither one of the two of them felt like calling a timeout, which most of us feel is the reason why you have them, see, is to use them, to save time. But they went to the Todd Bowles school of calling timeouts, and it worked about as well for the Colts last night as it did the Bucs on Sunday. So that's what most
or the Lions all year. I mean, Jeff Saturday's going to get crushed because he's a novice head coach and he doesn't know what he's doing and doesn't know how to work his timeouts, when half the league does the same damn thing every week. The same damn thing. But they all went through the proper coaching channels, so they're okay. And Pat will tell us why Bowles is okay and why Campbell's okay and why Saturday's an unmitigated mess.
That's coming up at 8 o'clock here on Miller and Moulton. Yes, Jeff Saturday did go to the Dan Campbell School of Clock Management last night. There is no question about that. Other NFL news. Hey, the Browns activated Deshaun Watson, baby. Remember him? Do you remember him? Clemson, Houston Texans, number 4, got traded. Apparently likes massages. Yeah, he can play. And he's going to in 12 days. And here's the funny thing, see. The first team he's going to play against is the Houston Texans, who drafted him and where he got in all this trouble. It's this league. It's as if it's scripted. It's spectacular. The Dolphins are convinced Teron Armstead did not suffer a season-ending injury. Now, they can't get any more specific than that. That's all Mike McDaniel has for us. He's like, no, he's not out for the rest of the year. Well, how severe is it? Well, we don't know. Well, when's he going to be back? Don't have an answer for that one either. Well, then how do you know he's not done for the year? I'm telling you, he's not done for the year. Oh, okay. And that's kind of where the Bucs are with Tristan Wirfs, when you think about it. Nothing's broken. But then again, some things bent in ways that is not supposed to bend on a big guy. So how long is he going to miss? 3-4 weeks, maybe longer. Oh, well, how many weeks we got left in the season? 6. Well, then is he out for the rest of the year? No. Didn't you hear us? We said 3-4 weeks. Oh, okay. So that's where we are with a couple of tackles on the Dolphins and the Bucs. Mark, I think I summed that up pretty accurately, didn't I?
I think you did it perfectly.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I interpreted what they said properly.
No, that's very fair. I was thinking about Jensen, the other Bucs lineman that's out, because they were, last week they asked about him finally and just said, so is there any? No.
No.
Do you think he's going to? We don't know. We're hoping so.
Don't know. He lives down the street. Make a right. You want to have lunch with him? He's free. Auburn hired Hugh Freeze. And
yes,
I got to admit, you know what? We talk, Mark, about schools who know who they are, who look in the mirror and say, listen, this is who we are. We're not going to pull any punches, and this is how you do things. And Auburn finally, after decades of being really frauds, now has Bruce Pearl as their men's basketball coach and Hugh Freeze as their football coach. Okay, Auburn is finally admitting to themselves and to everybody else, listen, this is who we are, okay? We're going to win.
And it doesn't matter how.
No,
what's most important is winning.
Yes, okay?
At all and any cost.
Yes, okay? We're finally admitting that. Don't give us a hard time. This is who we are. We're Auburn.
And when this ends, it's going to end badly. I assure you it's going to end really badly.
Although, let's face it, we got guys that are cheating in college basketball, and 7 years later, they're getting like a 4-game suspension. So, we've figured it out that, you know what you do? You just lie and you cheat. And it's kind of like the wife that's not going to divorce you no matter what you do. That's what we figured it out. So that's who we got. We got Bruce Pearl and we got Hugh Freeze. Yeah.
Now let's go toilet paper some trees, huh?
Dion confirmed that Colorado has, in fact, offered him their head coaching job. If you're running the show at Colorado, that's got to be a little concerning. See, usually when you offer somebody the job, they give you an answer. So Dion is letting people, oh, yeah, 2-3 days ago, Colorado offered me the job. Oh, well, have you accepted? Well, no, I got a game this coming weekend. I'll get back to him. I'll let him know. Oh, okay. All right. It's good to know. And Mark, the transfer portal's alive and well. And I don't know if people remember, his name is Cade McNamara. He was the starting quarterback at Michigan last year when they went to the playoff. He was the starting quarterback at Michigan at the beginning of this season. Now, of course, everybody has forgotten his name, except about 50 college football programs, because he's now in the transfer portal. And before he committed to Michigan, he had seemingly have needed a quarterback since, Brady Quinn. So just food for thought. Okay, this is it. U.S. and Iran, World Cup, 2 o'clock today. It's real simple. U.S. needs to win to advance. Anything less than a win, and they go home with their tail between their legs, and they face the wrath of Mark Miller at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
I think you described that perfectly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It would be nice if they could score. They've played a couple hundred minutes of soccer, and they put the ball in the back of the net once. Going to need to do that at least once today. That's all I got.
It'd be nice if they could do it twice to assure themselves of a win.
Yes. Don't do like you did in the first match. Play really well in the first half, get an early goal, and then try to sit on it. Now, what are we sitting on? This isn't like your buddy Tommy in 4th grade. You don't sit on anything here.
The most important part of the game, though, for Iran may be the national anthem.
Right.
Because apparently after they were not singing the anthem in their first game against England, they all had to face the National Guard, the Iranian National Guard or the police, and they were scolded.
Oh, yes.
And told if they don't behave, well, things could not go well for them when they return to Iran.
And their families.
Right.
Yes. So Iran has made their soccer team an offer they can't refuse.
Sing the anthem or die.
Right.
And we're not joking around.
No, we're trying to be lighthearted about this. But no, it's not get out of group or die. This isn't, some South American country here. No. This is, you better stand tall and sing the anthem or we're going to kill you and everybody in your family. Oh, good to know. Baseball, Houston signed former White Sox first baseman Jose Abreu to a 3-year deal. And speaking of the White Sox, they signed right-handed pitcher Tony Clevenger to a 1-year deal. Hey, maybe finally free agency is going to start. That would be nice. NBA, there were a bunch of games. I'll give you just a few results. Brooklyn beat Orlando 109-102. KD at 45. The Celtics are 10-1 at home. They're also 17-4 overall. Celtics and the Bruins combined have lost one home game so far this year. It's nearly December. They beat Charlotte by 35 at home last night. Philly edged Atlanta 104-101. Joel Embiid was amazing down the stretch. Indiana got an Andrew Nembhard. Remember Gator fans? Remember him? He had a 3 at the buzzer for the Pacers. Indiana beat the Lakers 116-115 out west. Phoenix has won 5 straight. They beat Sacramento 122-117. Hockey, that Stamkos guy, Mark, he's pretty good. Pretty good. 2 more goals last night, including the game winner in overtime as the Lightning beat the Sabres 6-5. Panthers lost in overtime to Edmonton. Oilers tied it with 5 seconds to go in regulation, and then Draisaitl won it in the extra time. Devils beat the Rangers 5-3. Oh, Seth is very happy. Toronto doubled up Detroit 4-2. Dallas 4-1 over St. Louis. And Vegas in a shootout beat Columbus 3-2. Mark, I don't know if you saw college basketball. You know, we said when the Big Ten said goodbye to ESPN that you could forget about the ACC Big Ten Challenge. And sure enough, it's now going to be the ACC SEC Challenge.
There's shocking news.
Beginning next year. I will say it's more regional. Steve Forbes, the head coach of Wake Forest, said, don't laugh. I actually think our fans will embrace this more.
I think he might be right.
So beginning next year, it's the ACC SEC Challenge televised on ESPN and their family of networks. And finally, Mark, Tiger Woods is old. Tiger Woods has broken down because he hasn't played since the Open Championship, and he can't even make it go for the Hero Challenge. He's got plantar fasciitis. He's hoping to play in the match. Do they allow golf carts in that?
I think so.
And the PNC Championship, which I believe is a fancy name for the father and son, right?
Well, yeah, because now they have father-daughter and
right.
all that. So, yes.
Right. So he's hoping to still play in that later in December. But Tiger can't play in the Hero Challenge this weekend. And I believe that's his tournament that he's hosting. Yeah. So there you have it. And that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
David Samson, 45 minutes, huh? Not bad. Not bad. Facebook, take that. Kick us off your platform.
In case you're just joining us, we have been put in Facebook jail. David found out, and he's not happy, even though he's never had a Facebook account, gone on Facebook, or cared about Facebook. Now he cares.
During the break, 800 Facebook answer to me. Elon.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's not an 800 number, but I have a phone number to call to get a hold of Facebook.
That's fantastic. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Can't wait till they ask you what your username and password are.
And I'm going to say, I don't know. But I know I can't get on my account. And I want to know why. Besides, you guys
One of
know
two things. It's one of two things. It's either the player of the day, and I don't know if they subscribe to the same thing, but you made a comment to Felipe. If you don't start working on for yourself, they're going to shove it up your A. And I don't know if that's the same thing as radio rules. During a break, that's the only two things I could think of that were said yesterday.
Huh. Well, that can't be it. We've said things during the commercial break that we shouldn't have said before. Can't be the play of the day. We've played radio calls before.
Right?
I mean, Jason Horowitz getting us banned from Facebook. I'll have to text him and let him know that. Jason, you're not going to believe this. Your call was so good, we got kicked off Facebook.
Yeah, it's not the swearing. It's the
act.
The act. It's never the swearing that gets you in trouble. It's the act. That's at least with radio. I don't know if Facebook has the same rules. I have no idea. All I know is I got a really good line on the side of my face here, David, because I had that sleep test last night. That's
nice.
A little nose thing just taped to my face there. And
oh, you did it?
I did. It's at home now. So I did all. After the show, I got to take it to the place and make sure that everything took.
Oh, you hand it to them and then they do the reading?
Yeah. And then I've got a Saturday telehealth appointment where they tell me the results. If not, I wasn't in until January. I got my car dented up a little bit from the storm. Palm fronds falling on it and stuff like that. So went to the dent place and got the estimate from the insurance company and all that. And yesterday I talked to the guy at the dent place. And I'm like, he gave me the estimate. All right, let's schedule it. He goes, all right, I can get you in January 23rd. I started laughing, and he got nervous, and he's like, "Is that okay?" I said, "That's fine." I said, "That's." He goes, "Well, a lot of people." He goes, "Okay." And he took a breath. He goes, "A lot of people are getting mad." I go, "Well, we did have a hurricane 4 or 5 weeks ago, right? I mean, I'm just checking. Did Hurricane Ian come through and F up the whole place?" He goes, "Well, I'm glad you get it." He goes, "Because everybody wants their stuff done now." I'm like, I'm laughing because it's funny.
Right. I thought you were going to tell me like May. I'm fine with January.
30 seconds.
We're going to read that
Gator text?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ratings come in this afternoon, by the way.
Okay.
Florida State.
15.
Adam, that's a good point. I said good things about the Jags. That might have gotten us thrown off Facebook.
That's a good one. 5 seconds. And I ran.
See, that could get us thrown off Facebook.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Tuesday of November. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A traumatizing day so far on the show. Apparently, we've been suspended by Facebook. And, of course, they don't give us a reason why. I feel that I'm a kid again, and I've been grounded by my mother, and she won't tell me why.
Would she do that? Yeah, I think that, the judge and jury was pretty tough. I understand the toughness factor, that it was much like a, foreign country penal system that it was in our own. But I also thought she was fair in that she at least told you why you were in trouble.
Well, first off, who said she was fair? She grounded me a day per minute that I was late. Okay, really?
Fair
Is that fair?
In her eyes, it was fair.
Yes, it was a benevolent dictatorship. Yes. Right. Okay, there were times, Mark, in which she was so disgusted with me. And let's be honest. You see how I turned out as an adult, in which I'm now, matured and much more mild-mannered. You could only imagine how charming I was at 9. So there were times in which my mother would just say, "You're grounded," and would need to go walk away and give herself a timeout so that she could, grit her teeth and what have you, and eventually come back out and explain to me why, knowing full well the glorious response she was going to get from her only child back. She had to psych herself up to give me the reason as to why. So during those 10 minutes that my mother went and gave herself a timeout, I would know that A, I was grounded, but B, I don't know why and I don't know for how long. And I'm mustering up my defense during these 10 minutes. And we are going at it when she comes back out of her bedroom. I'll tell you that right now. We are going at it. Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel about Facebook. You chicken blanks. What'd we do? How long are we grounded for? Why?
Here's the funny thing. David's never had a Facebook account. If he were to try to do anything about this, he couldn't. And he's really PO'd, and I don't care. And it's my account.
That is true. It really is. It has our name on it, but it is definitely your account. I did find a phone number to call, though.
Get right on that.
I will. I'll be waiting at an airport. I got nothing to do to entertain myself.
David, is the only social media you really use consistently Twitter?
Yes.
Okay.
And the only reason that I use it is that there is information on it, which comes in handy to find out. If that information becomes invalid in the future, that I'll be non-existent.
Right, because you don't even tweet anymore. You used to every once in a while put out a funny tweet here and there.
Right.
But you've pretty much banned yourself from Twitter.
Right. Well, because I'm not funny. So, why tweet something that's not funny? You either should give people information or you should give them something funny. There's no reason being serious, for goodness sakes. It's the wrong platform to be serious on. If you're going to be serious on Twitter, that's an oxymoron. Come on.
If you're going to be serious, text the show, 21,000.
Yeah.
Number. FSN Radio is the keyword if you've never done so before.
Because when you think of serious show, you think of, Meet the Press and Miller and Moulton. Right.
Exactly. Now you're found it, David.
Yeah.
But we were spending a lot of time yesterday talking about the Florida State game being on Friday night, what people's opinions of that Friday night game were, and not just the result of the game, but can you handle it being on Friday night, being a standalone national primetime game?
With better announcers going forward. We promise you better announcers.
Oof.
Listen, it's bad when people agree with us. That's how bad the announcing was. We brought up it was bad, and people couldn't agree with us more. You're right. It was terrible. They were awful. I had to turn the volume down. Brock Osweiler, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, wow, we're on to something here.
So we got this text of someone catching up with the show on the podcast. It said, Gator alum here, just caught the podcast. Out of state now and loved the Friday night slot. Was at a holiday house party with a bunch of family and friends who were not UFFSU people. I didn't have to compete for a TV. If it were on Saturday, we would have outvoted by several other alumni groups in favor of their game. Let's both get to perennial top 10 status before making Saturday afternoon demands.
I'm with you. Couple more years, right? Couple more years of, say, Friday nights. I'm in favor of it.
And we'll be curious because today the television ratings will come out, and this is all on whether Gainesville is for it.
Correct.
I think this could easily be an every other year Friday night because I think the crowd was spectacular.
Yeah.
Can't say enough about the way Doak looked and sounded. It was loud. They were into it.
You could tell that the Knowles fan, like the Gators fan, like a Canes fan, it's not a dumb group. Okay? They know what a good team looks like. They know when you're back or you're at least out of the wilderness. Mark, and I thought that was the reaction from the Florida State fans Friday night after Thanksgiving. But before the game, they're jacked up because it's the Gators and this is cool. But also they were like letting their team know, hey, thanks for bringing us back out of the wilderness. Thanks for being a representative team again. And
I think this has just become the year of rushing the field.
There's no doubt.
With after whether it's post-COVID, whatever reason you want to attribute this to, this has been the year of rushing the field for reasons that most of us can't understand.
But like when they rushed the field, I didn't think they rushed the field because they beat the Gators. I thought they rushed the field because it's like, oh my goodness, we're actually a decent college football team again. And
it's so funny. Sorry, Dave. I thought they rushed the field because about 10 people in the front row said, hey, if we win, let's rush the field. And everybody else said, hey, field, let's rush the field. That's me.
So, just like I think Gator fan, if Napier puts a group together that wins 9-10 games, and that's probably going to be the worst group he's going to put on the field in the next few years, Gator fans going to look around and go, I think we've escaped the wilderness. We've had a lot of ups and downs since Urban, but it's been a hell of a forest that we've been in. Sometimes we've been, on the right path, and sometimes we've just gotten lost. And if Napier puts it together in which you're thinking, well, damn, we won 10 games this year, and we're going to be better next year, and probably the year after that, then they're going to be like, I'll be damned. It's about time. Speaking of college football, if we could just kind of go down this road for a little bit. Are you okay with in 2 to 4 years, every conference seemingly is doing away with divisions? Are you okay with that? Like, do you want to see Michigan and Ohio State be playing again this week for the Big Ten championship?
Well, first off, can we just stop with that Michigan playing Ohio State again? Because Michigan would be playing USC. Let's just stop with all this rematch crap. I've been listening to this for 2 days. That Michigan would play Ohio State. How the hell do you know? USC and UCLA are in the conference. They'd be playing USC. They hadn't played USC all year. They both are similar records. One's one loss, one's undefeated. They wouldn't be playing Ohio State. They'd be playing USC.
Okay,
so can we start there?
Well, Mark, to give a little, in fairness to myself, it's difficult. I was not thinking about USC being in the Big Ten. You have to acknowledge that's still a little wild.
I understand, but you and others, and I've listened to this for a day and a half, in 2 to 4 years. Well, in 2 to 4 years, Oklahoma and Texas are going to be in the SEC, and we are going to have situations. The reason I bring it up, David, and the reason why I think it's really important is it's going to be impossible for all of these teams to play one another. We know that.
Yes.
So the first thing we got to look at is who are the teams that are going to play in these games and have in a year where maybe if this were last year and USC was whatever their record was, well, then we could talk about.
Okay, Mark, in fairness to me, I'm not thinking of USC being in the Big Ten right now because they're not in it today. Okay, but you're right. They only had one conference loss, and Michigan would likely be playing them. So yes, going forward, it'd be Michigan against USC. But my point is not whether it's Michigan, Ohio State, or Michigan, USC. It's just that the Purdues and the Wisconsins and the Minnesotas of the Big Ten, quite frankly, you might as well go into the witness protection program. All right, the same thing with the SEC. I mean, the SEC championship game would be Georgia-Tennessee, because there'd be a three-way tie for second between Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU, and Tennessee beat them both. So we would have a rematch in the SEC championship. It would be Georgia-Tennessee if this season were to take place 2 to 4 years from now.
I have no problem with it. I think the conferences should have big problems with it, however, because as what you're alluding to here is if Georgia beats Tennessee, Tennessee could be out of a 12-team playoff.
It's possible. It really is. You know, would the loss in the conference championship game cost me a spot? In theory, I can win and maybe get a home game, but with a loss, I could be in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Right. I'm out and Alabama's in.
Right.
I mean, that's really what you're talking about here, is that a second-place team could lose, and that would allow a third-place team to get in the tournament. One thing that was said in our Twitch chat room yesterday, and it was the first time I'd seen it, it may have been said and may have been put out there, is there any possibility that they would talk about putting the playoff together before the conference championships? And it would just be for seeding.
I don't think
so. But that's the first time I'd seen that laid out there because, David, to your point, why in the hell are you going to play these games if it could knock a team out of the playoff?
Congratulations, Tennessee. You're in the SEC championship game. Oh, no, we say no. No. This isn't a bowl game. You can't refuse it. No. We're not going to Atlanta. No, we're going to sit and we're going to find out who we're playing in the first round. We're good as the 10 seed. We're fine. Tell us who's 7. We'll be there next Saturday, 3:00. We're good.
Now, these conferences want to send 2 versus 3 to their championship games to determine which team gets in the postseason. I'm all in.
Well, and then also, so let me get this straight if you're the Big 12. So if TCU loses, okay, do they lose a first-round bye? And now they get a 5 through 8 seed and they get a home game, but they lose the first-round bye? TCU would be like, no, we're good. You give K-State the championship. We don't care. We'll just take the first-round bye. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Well, Klecko, the only way they're going to the Rose Bowl is if they win against Michigan.
Did you guys see the clip from the Bayou Classic of the guy heating up something with a lighter that someone thought was a blunt, but it ended up being that he was heating up his rib?
Did not see that.
His rib?
His rib. He was holding a rib and a lighter, like
warming his ribs
up, and someone thought it was a blunt, but he's like, "Nah, man, it was my rib. My ribs were cold."
Purdue was in the 2001 Rose Bowl with Drew Brees.
The hell are we going to talk to David Samson about for 25 minutes?
Well, first off, it's only about 15 minutes. Well, the good thing with David is you can talk to him about anything. Cabrera announced yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Season. Well, he traded him, and he loves him.
It's not Wisconsin going to the Rose Bowl. It's Purdue. Bunch of engineers. They're smart kids. They're not beer drinkers.
Do they have enough IPAs? I don't think so, RCB. I don't think Arians would allow it.
$15 seconds. There we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Final Tuesday of November. I'm in Indianapolis. After Monday Night Football last night, the Steelers rallied in the fourth quarter after blowing a 13-point lead. Put a nice scoring drive together, tack on a 2-point conversion, beat the Colts 24-17, fourth win of the year for Pittsburgh as they try to keep Mike Tomlin's streak alive of never having a losing season. Doubtful they can pull it off since they're 4-7. And, well, we can finally stop talking about Mark's Colts. 4-7-1, put a fork in them, they're done.
Done.
In this Jeff Saturday thing. Now they're 1-2. We can stop talking about that too, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had bad clock management. I mean, he is right now. I mean, he's a veteran NFL coach. The way he handled the clock.
Well played, sir. Well,
But he'll get buried for it. And this was, he's the only coach doing this. And obviously he's not capable of doing this job because he didn't call a timeout yesterday. Okay. But hold the same level of critique for all NFL coaches then. That's all I ask.
he was just watching the Bucks-Browns game.
Right, Todd Bowles, who said, I'm playing for overtime. You got Tom Brady and you're playing for overtime. Good for you. That's a smart move.
Just said he was worried about an interception. Meanwhile, Brady hadn't thrown an interception in the final 2 minutes of regulation or overtime in like 7 years.
But Jeff Saturday's the flipping problem.
Pat Kirwan in 35 minutes. It's going to be fun. We can promise you that. It's going to be fun. David Samson in 15 minutes. That is always fun. Can I go back to college football? Tonight, the playoff committee is going to release their rankings. And while it's not the last one, it's not the one that really counts. Actually, Mark, I could argue it is, because let's be honest. What's going to change for Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, Penn State between this Tuesday and Sunday? None of them are playing. So when the committee puts Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC, likely in that order, as their top four, that's fun. That's cute. They're all playing this weekend. So that can change. But if TCU and or USC lose this weekend, in theory, whoever's at 5 and or 6 could move into the top 4. So the committee tonight, we know who the top 4 is going to be. We don't care who 9 through 25 is. Okay. But I got to admit, I care who 5 and 6 is. Because then we know who's in the on-deck circle Friday night and Saturday at noon in case USC or TCU lose. Right?
100%. Obviously, we know what they can do. They can change it. We don't think that they will. There's no reason to, but hey, David, I won't put anything past these committees anymore.
Well,
but in theory, whatever 5, 6, 7, 8 are, those teams should stay in that same order next week.
Well, you would think they'd have to. They're not playing.
Yes.
Well, like Ohio State's 5, Alabama 6. Okay, the game was take place on Friday and Saturday. The committee Sunday morning is going to now put Alabama 5 and Ohio State 6. I mean,
can I just ask you a really stupid question?
Sure.
Purdue beats Michigan. Doesn't that hurt Ohio State? I mean, if we think Michigan's in no matter what, Michigan goes to 4.
I don't know. I don't think there's a result this week that can help or hurt any of the teams not playing. I really don't. I think it would be asinine reasoning if you're going to change 5, 6, 7, or 8, none of whom are playing this weekend, for something that took place involving other teams.
I agree that it would be asinine. Not arguing with that. Can the committee make an asinine move and then defend it? They've done it before.
Here's what I would love for the committee to do. Since this is a TV show, until Sunday at noon, this is all a TV show. This is Survivor. This is a game show. It really is. That's all this is. What if they have a 4-way tie for 5th? How about if since it's a TV show and all this is doing is what? Creating drama. We go Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC.
Right.
T5, T5. Ohio State, Alabama. T5, T5. Tennessee, Penn State. You want drama? Okay, then have TCU or USC lose, and literally we'll all be watching noon on Sunday going, well, we have no idea who they're going to put in. But if you put Ohio State 5, Alabama 6.
I don't think you can do the four-way. I wouldn't have Penn State in there. I couldn't justify that, just
Okay.
for the record. But if you had Alabama, Ohio State, and Tennessee, T5.
Just curious, why then not? Penn State's only 2 losses are to Michigan and Ohio State. So that's why you can't put Penn State even with Ohio State. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. But then Alabama lost to Tennessee. I mean, you could do it that way. I mean, that's Tennessee's argument. Tennessee's like, well, hey, shouldn't we be ahead of Alabama? Same record. We beat them. Hello? Anybody? Bueller?
Ohio State beat Penn State. And they have one loss. I can't
that's fine.
put Penn State equal with Ohio State. I can't.
And that's fine. And this is made for television. Why don't you just go all in? Why don't you just say, listen, guys, we're going to have a 2-way tie for 5th. We're going to create real drama. Not even the teams are going to know if TCU or USC loses who's going to be in the playoff.
Have they ever had a tie for any? They ever had anything? I don't think they've ever had a tie anywhere on this.
No, I'm being really.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on. If you're going to do a game show, then let's do a game show. I mean, if you want Survivor, we'll do Survivor. Got to have that tease heading into break in which we truly don't know, who she's going to choose on the other side. I mean, don't you want that to be the playoff? Will she pick TCU? He's a polite young man.
It would be great. But let me ask you, because they won't do that.
Right.
How do you think they're going to put them?
Ohio State 5, Alabama 6. Because until proven otherwise, 1 loss beats 2 losses. And it doesn't matter the circumstances. It hasn't before. Okay? It hasn't. Remember, Ohio State 6 years ago, 11-1, lost to Penn State, who went to and won the Big Ten championship game. Penn State was 11-2. Ohio State was 11-1. Penn State beat Ohio State and was the conference champion. Who made the playoff? Ohio State. Until someone with 2 in the right-hand column trumps someone with 1 in the right-hand column, I'm going with the 1.
And that committee loves the SEC, loves Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
The loss at home and the way they lost.
Yeah.
I would be surprised, not at all stunned, if they put Alabama 5. I think you're right, but I would not. I would be, like I said, I'd be surprised, not stunned. This would not be a fall off the chair moment. I would probably laugh out loud and go, I'll be damned, they did it again. And remember, if they're doing that, it's not for the television show. It's because somehow in that room, they think Alabama and the SEC are better. Because if it was a television show, Ohio State gets in. They draw the best ratings.
Every time. Every time. Alabama's a solid second. They are. There's no one close to them in second. There ain't no one close to Ohio State in first. They're the best television draw in the sport.
So just remember that when the rankings come out, when people think that they're pulling for Alabama for television rankings. No, they're not. If they were, they'd pull for anybody. It's Ohio State. We pull for David Samson. He's next on Miller and Moulton. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka, The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, not last year, Mr. Butte, because the Rams kicked a field goal at the gun to beat them last year. Also, the stat I gave you was a regular season stat. But, yeah, technically his last throw as a Patriot, I believe, was that Tennessee playoff game at home. And I don't know if it was a pick six, but I believe it was picked off. But that was, 10 seconds to go, just winging one.
Holy cow.
Which cow is holy?
Guy
Yeah,
was hunting in Turkey and got shot by his dog and killed.
I'm
By
sorry.
his dog?
I'm
He
sorry.
put the gun in the back of the truck and put the dog up. The dog somehow clipped the trigger, shot him, killed him.
You're freaking kidding me.
No, that's why I said, holy cow.
Oh my goodness. Not the
Then-
dog.
Then the dog put on the brakes and stopped the car and pulled over. And
What the
Morning,
dog
David.
doing?
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
Really well. How about yourself?
Looking forward to watching Iran. Got that shit wrong my whole life.
How about that presser?
Never seen anything like it. It's the lead
So
story
if
for me.
if the soccer player had turned around to the journalist and said, I'll tell you what, I'll do everything you want as long as you guys stop supporting Putin and his, illegal invasion of Ukraine.
I would have killed my player for saying that.
Come on.
I really would have. Unless he's some sort of political science major who's been moonlighting as a diplomat, I'd rather not get involved in that. It's not for the player to do that. And it's not like shut up and dribble. It's just not for the player to do that.
Well, you're not as snarky as I thought you were. I mean, I thought you'd appreciate that level of snarkiness, I got to admit.
No, but that's not snarky, right? Snarky is saying next question, or I'm not talking to you, or that would be a snarky response. By the way, you're talking to a guy who travels a lot, and I spend hours driving in Italy looking for Florence. Hours. Couldn't find it because there kept being signs for Firenze. Didn't know what the hell that was. This is when I was working in Europe. So I at least appreciate they spell Iran the same way as Iran.
By the way, we've been kicked off Facebook.
Why?
We
Don't know.
Don't
Something
know.
yesterday on our show. Something was said. Something was done. I don't know if we played a clip that we weren't allowed to. I have no idea, but
Right.
we got Facebook jail.
Do you have someone finding out what happened?
Well,
I
first off,
just found out this morning at 5:55 when I went to go put us online and I use a StreamYard is what we use so we can telecast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And it just said you're not allowed on Facebook. And I went, oh, I'll be. So that'll be this afternoon's investigation.
That's my whole afternoon, David. I'm going to find out why we're banned from Facebook.
So you guys have to do that? You don't have a producer or someone who can be helpful to that?
I don't even know where to start.
Exactly, producer.
So, David, the answer to your question is yes.
Look up like a cell number for Zuckerberg.
You don't have that? I figured you'd give it to us.
I can get to Jesse Eisenberg, but I can't get to Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, neither can the U.S. government. But oh
my God. What a world. When you started your career, would you ever have imagined that you would have said the words, "We got kicked off Facebook"?
No. Kicked off the air? Yes. Facebook? No.
Here we go, guys.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Pat Kirwan to join us at the top of the hour to talk all things NFL. Tommy Smyth, 1 hour from now. Win or go home for the U.S. men's national team. We'll talk a little World Cup then, and we'll probably talk a little World Cup now. We won't just stick to baseball, not with David Samson. He and his Nothing Personal daily podcast, Nothing Personal with David Samson. CBS Sports HQ, you can follow him on Twitter, David the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. Good morning. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was gluttonous, and it was full of drama and intrigue, but normal.
Drama and intrigue. Is that a normal family day for you, David?
Oh, that's just a Tuesday. Right? When you mix families, you combine in a couple divorces, a few deaths, a few earrings through the nose, and all of a sudden you got yourself some drama.
Okay. Not to belabor this point, but explain to me how the deaths play into it. That's just recent passings and emotions. Is that it?
Yeah, my sister passed away recently, so we had her widower, my brother-in-law, and their kids, and they came, and usually they host because my sister would have hosted. So now there was a substitute host, my other sister, who didn't do it well enough. So there was some backyard sort of criticism of, hey, you didn't make the kugel right. You know, that sort of thing. Normal.
Absolutely. I had a bigger Thanksgiving. We had we had to play cards to get a little drama and a little arguing, but eventually you get there. We didn't have any arguing during the presser with the U.S. men's national team, but David, that's as bizarre as a press conference as I've ever seen. You've covered sports, you've worked in sports. Have you seen anything like that before?
So we saw a little bit of it in the NBA, right? During the time of George Floyd's murder, when you saw reporters trying to get players to talk about things that they thought would be good sound bites and that they thought could possibly add to an agenda. When you have a reporter who has agenda, you try to get people to say things that you can then spin any which way, which is why we educate our players before they sit in front of the media. There's that 30-minute rule in baseball. Post-game, you don't meet the media for 30 minutes, and we'll spend some of that time talking to players who are going to be interviewed about what may have happened during that game or what's going on in the world that could come up, just so they're prepared. And I think when you've got the USA playing against Iran, and I'm only saying it correctly because I learned yesterday during the press conference, I've been saying Iran like flock of seagulls my entire life.
Exactly.
And no one ever corrected me, ever, until yesterday. And I guess I'm going with what I was told during the press conference, but I have no other independent confirmation. But to put that USA, the coach and the player in that position, obviously we knew it's political with what's going on, not just in Iran, but really all that area. There was going to be an issue. And boy, did the USA look prepared.
Yes, we looked very much like the adult at the table,
which is not all that common when it comes to press conferences and to athletes. But I just give Adams all sorts of credit. It's as though he had been prepared for that question. I'd like to think that he could come up with that off the cuff, but that's what media training's for. And of course, he's had that experience. As he said, he grew up in a white family as a black person. And so he had the understanding of what it sort of was like. He had lived overseas, which not a lot of Americans have done. So all sorts of things combined to make him really embarrass that reporter and go viral with what life should be. And how nice is that? Normally, when you go viral, it's for what is disgusting or ridiculous. This was brilliant.
Now, I'm a sarcastic, snarky person. Are you saying that if I had challenged the reporter back, okay, because he was clearly challenging not just the individual American athlete, he was challenging our way of life, okay? And my first reaction when I was seeing the press conference was to then challenge their way of life and say, listen, if you think we suck, let's talk about you.
Yeah, that's dangerous. I would not want my players getting into a political discussion. And this is not about me saying shut up and dribble to the players. But I'll tell you, that concept has come up before, which is there is no upside to getting into a conversation. What is it? You don't get into a land war in Asia from The Princess Bride with Wallace Shawn, right, when they're playing the game. You really don't want your players getting into a political discussion a day in advance of a World Cup game, of a game that matters so much to the USA. It's just not the right time or place. Really, to blame here is FIFA. How do they not realize what is coming politically when you've got matchups like this, when you've got things going on in the world the way they do? But FIFA has taught us that they really could give a flying rat's tuchus about any of that. They just take the money for themselves, actually.
Well, absolutely. And then the other side of this is that, I mean, from Iran's side, their players protested the first game. We still have condemned Colin Kaepernick for kneeling during an anthem, but we can condemn him or we can support him. That's our right. These players have basically been told if they don't stand and sing at the anthem, they and their families could be in deep trouble after the game. That's a whole different type of pressure that I don't think anybody in this country can have any actual comprehension of what that's like.
Well, that's the greatest thing about our country, right? That's
Yes,
supposed to be what it's supposed to, that you're allowed to protest and you're allowed to congregate within the bounds of the law. If I'm those Iranian players, I got to tell you, I'm not screwing around with that government. And so I have great concerns for those players. It reminds me a little bit of when Cuba comes to play the World Baseball Classic and they have guards all around the clubhouse and they've got guards with them making sure that no one defects, yet the players find a way. Every time Cuba goes, it's a conversation that MLB had with Cuba as they were doing the World Baseball Classic. Hey, there's a knowledge. It's like overage when you have inventory that you assume some inventory is going to be stolen. That's how they viewed their baseball team. Yeah, we'll probably lose a trainer and a player, but we still want to be in the WBC. But it's absolutely crazy what they did, only in that I worry when they get home, which could be as early as today, right? What happens to those players? I thought that it was very brave of them, but scary.
And to think that the result of today's match is not potentially what they're going to get in trouble for. It's their behavior before and after today's match that their government is actually more concerned with as opposed to the result of the match like some other countries.
I really would like someone to explain to me this whole sports washing situation, and I've covered it so much on Nothing Personal. But do you think that the government sits around and says, like in Qatar, and says, listen, we're going to host the World Cup. We're going to spend $200 billion, and it's going to be great. People are going to forget the fact that we murder and rape and pillage people and have no human rights, etc., because we're hosting the World Cup. I don't understand how Saudi Arabia sits around and says, hey, we're going to sponsor this tournament, this live tournament. We're going to give tens of millions of bucks away, and everyone's going to forget about how crappy we are. Does that really work? Not for me, it doesn't.
Well, and not only did Qatar spend $200 billion just to host this thing, they're actually, I don't think Fox is televising this World Cup if it was not for the government of Qatar. They're the main sponsor of the broadcasts.
They're the top three. It's pretty good. You've got like Qatar Energy, Qatar Telecom, Qatar this, Qatar that. What I want to do for a living, maybe the three of us can leave this gig and let's go be salespeople for FIFA sponsorships. What could be an easier job than that when you knock on the door and there's already an agreement that you're going to sell all of your stuff and Fox has an agreement for what they're going to get? It just seems like an easy job, especially if we're on commission.
Well, as long as we don't have to deal with Budweiser after this thing, David. That's my only worry.
See, that's the beauty of this job. We can promise anything, and 48 hours before the tournament starts, just lie.
If you're Budweiser, what do? Here's the problem. It's about money. It's just business, right? You take your $75 million refund that they'll get for this year of the sponsorship. You extend it another year. You keep your competitors out of World Cup because you see that football is gaining steam in the U.S., which is a hugely important market for these companies. And worldwide, the valuations of teams, it's skyrocketing. You extend the deal by a year at the same $75 million rate before you have to renegotiate. To me, if I'm Budweiser, I'm sitting around saying, outstanding. That was really good fortune for us.
And apparently what they're going to do with the beer, which is just sitting there, is they're waiting to see who wins. And they're literally sending the beer to that nation and basically saying, party on us /FIFA.
I love that, but is it in an air-conditioned place? Or is it just like sitting outside and it's going to be like skunk beer?
No. It's air conditioned.
Okay, thank God.
I mean, they spent $220 billion to host this thing. They got a big room.
Don't you think that they would have spent more money on getting better players? Because they knew about it 13 years ago, right? Can't you go out and figure out a way? Like in the World Baseball Classic, how do you play for Italy? It's if you've ever had like Penny Marinara. Then you can play on the Italian team.
And he's not that far. I want you to understand he's not that far off because I know people that played for the Italian Olympic hockey team, and I'm telling you, that's pretty close.
They'd been to Olive Garden like twice.
No, I think that can get him thrown off the team, but I know where you're going.
He's David Samson. His daily podcast is Nothing Personal with David Samson. You can see him on CBSSports.com, CBS Sports HQ. Follow him on Twitter at David _P Samson.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they cut us right now? Like if the Qatar government heard what we were saying about them and all of a sudden we just went blank, like we were off the air.
You mean like Qatar Facebook?
Yes, exactly.
And for those that don't know, somehow, some way, Miller and Moulton have been banned from Facebook. We don't know how long it lasts. We don't know why. I'm searching for a 1-800 number to call and complain.
Do you want Mark Sell, Zuckerberg?
Yes.
Yes.
That too is perfect.
Yes.
976 GFY.
We figured it had something to do with 867-5309, but that's a whole other story. You were having some fun yesterday. Miguel Cabrera officially confirming that, it's 2023 is going to be his last year. And you joke that A, he's one of my 5 favorite people in the world, and B, I traded him. Okay, so just your thoughts about Miggy.
Well, my thoughts on Miggy the person are when he came up, we brought him up, he was a kid. And I like looking at pictures of him now versus him when we brought him up in 2003. And then I put it next to pictures of me when we won the World Series in 2003 versus me now. And I joke with him about how we have both changed. He had this mistaken understanding that when we won the World Series in 2003, and here's a little quick story, he thought that he was going to retire with a dozen World Series rings. He just assumed that that's how every season would end. And when I spoke to him, a few years ago, when he realized he had gotten there with Detroit but had not won again, and he realized that it was likely his career would end with one ring, he had an emotional moment with me where he appreciated even more what happened in 2003. And I felt like a parent, right, when your kid finally has that epiphany that, wow, you were right this whole time, because we spoke to our players back then about how rare it is and how lucky we are. So I think about that a lot. I think about the fact that he had a 20-year career, which is just incredible. It doesn't happen very often that you think a player is going to be a Hall of Famer and then they are a Hall of Famer. We say that a lot. This guy's a generational talent. That's the favorite thing that scouts say. But with Miguel, we were right.
And the off the field part, or on the field, off field, this is a guy, the one thing I've always noticed about him, he looks like he is always having a good time. It had to be one of the great guys in the clubhouse to deal with. He never seems to be in a bad mood, David.
No, listen, when you live with people, that's sort of a funny fantasy, right? Like, do you know anyone who's always in a good mood? Like, no matter how they portray themselves on TV, you think, wow, that's the perfect life. Miguel had issues. He had demons like the rest of us. He had bad days. But we knew him and loved him because when you are with someone from the beginning, you watch things form. You watch how they behave and you watch how they respond. But there's one thing that he was really good at: playing night games. He did not like playing afternoon games. And there are a lot of players like that because of what they do at night. But he was just the ability for him to hit. I've never seen anything like it up close. And we did spring training with, Vladimir Guerrero I had and Mark McGuire and players like that. But watching Miguel Cabrera hit, it was like watching a conductor with a symphony.
We got about a minute left. That World Series at bat against Clemens, in which Clemens is clearly trying to intimidate him. And Miggy is looking back at him like, dude, what's your problem? And you don't know if that's a 19, 20-year-old naivete or if that's why he's going to turn out to be the player that he became.
He didn't know who Roger Clemens was. That's a true story. He did not know who it was. And think about that. That sounds crazy to us. And he would say, growing up, I'm in Venezuela, like Roger Clemens. I just know a guy was throwing at my head. And it's the World Series. It's pretty cool. We're down 2-1, but what are you throwing at my head for? That's really what happened.
He's David Samson. His daily podcast is Nothing Personal with David Samson. See him on CBS Sports HQ. Follow him on Twitter, David the letter P Samson, David P Samson. David, we are so grateful that you give us 15 minutes every week. All the best to you and your family, and we'll do it again next week.
All right, have a great week. Thanks, guys.
David Samson. Getting ready for U.S. and Iran at 2 o'clock today. We'll switch gears. Pat Kirwan, all things NFL next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, Nobody better for value and service. E-Motorcycles. Check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I think, guys, you could tell how great a guest David Samson is. You know, how many of you either aren't baseball fans, you're certainly not Marlins fans. Here we are during the off season. I mean, Miller and Moulton have thought for a while that this guy's a star, that some big time, 4-letter, 3-letter, whatever. I mean, that he's a tremendous talent.
That was a great segment.
He's a great segment. He really is. Probably in terms of consistently delivering, he might be the best guest we've ever had on a regular basis. And Pat and Gary are awesome. But I know, Mello. Imagine if he had lasted more than 10 minutes.
Hello, Pat.
Hey, Mark. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. CBS has already got me on the line here, so I had to tell him to go away for a while.
Are you okay?
Oh, yeah. It's just we got 2 interviews going on today, and I'm usually in charge of what the questions are going to be. We got Justin Jefferson with Nate, and we have 2 of the offensive linemen with the Chiefs, Creed, Humphrey, and Smyth. So I got to go resolve that one. It's really funny. What should we ask him, Pat? Well, why don't I send you the tape of the interviews I've had with them, and then you figure out what you want to ask.
Right.
And the producers, these are very helpful. Yeah, of course they are.
10
Interview with the
seconds,
guy
guys.
about interviewing.
Here we go.
Here we go, guys.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Just like that, it's the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Tommy Smyth to preview the U.S. men's national team against Iran. He'll join us in a little more than 35 minutes. Pat Kirwan already on the line. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons from 3 to 7 and Saturdays 2 to 5 while the games are being played. He's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. 11 of 16 games this week, Pat, were one-score games, even though there were only 3 matchups involving winning teams. It's been a very competitive season.
Absolutely so. And the games are nice and short, which always pleases me. I like 256 personally, but I'll take 301 or 302. And I think that's for a lot of reasons, which we discussed. Running the ball is part of that, which is always a pleasure to me. I have to say, 2 minutes left in games. Don't go anywhere. Don't get up and get another beer. Don't do any of that stuff because we had a bunch of games in the last 2 minutes got turned around. And the NFL couldn't ask for any more than that. If you throw the population of viewers on Thanksgiving on top of the suspense of Sunday, the NFL's got a perfect product right now. That's why they're never going to change any rules. They know they should, but they're not going to.
All right. Jacksonville coming from behind, beating Baltimore. We can talk about this from Baltimore's end in a moment, but just your thoughts on Lawrence and Jacksonville. Is this a game we will look back upon as a defining moment for him?
Well, I think we're all waiting for it because we know he's talented enough. I happen to be a big fan of him. And, you know, he got a dysfunctional start to his career with Urban Meyer. I mean, what could be worse than what he had to go through? Trying to figure out what pro football's all about and playing for a coach who didn't know what pro football is all about. To overcome that so fast, and with this Doug Peterson, I think we're going to see a star. Another AFC superstar quarterback emerging.
Pat, have you recalled another quarterback falling apart before our eyes like Russell Wilson has this year? I mean, an elite level quarterback, considered one of the top 8, certainly in the game. And quite frankly, Pat, he should be benched. He's not playing as a level of even a starting quarterback right now. I'm trying to think, Pat, the last time we had a quarterback of real stature fall apart in 100 days.
No, I've been thinking about it too, David, and I haven't been able to. I started thinking about like Namath going to the Rams, but he was done.
Right.
The point you're making is this guy wasn't done. Although the Seahawks look like geniuses for moving him for all the compensation they got. Should he be benched? Yes, but we know how this goes. They won't. They'll try to work their way through it. But I'm with you. Here's the real question to the two of you. Has he lost his status as a Hall of Famer? Because he was on a Hall of Fame track higher than just a really good elite player. He had his rate of winning was, I think, the best of all time for his years in the league. So I ask you that question. To me, I think he's losing his Hall of Fame status at this point.
You know, Pat, we just kind of do the smell test with Hall of Famer. When you said his name in Hall of Fame, I immediately went, no. When the list comes out of the semifinalists, and David and I go through that long list, it's why we find it so hard to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because we sit there with 13, 15 names in the finalist list and have trouble saying no to more than 2 of them. Well, but when you said his name, my initial thought was, no, he's not a Hall of Famer.
No, and he was a Hall of Famer on the path for it in Seattle. You just go look at his rate of winning for starters and the things that he's done there and back-to-back Super Bowls. All he needed to do to lock it up was get to another Super Bowl. And I say that knowing how hard it is, but everyone that I've talked to prior to this year thought he was on pace for it, and now nobody thinks he's on pace for it.
Some people have mentioned Carson Wentz in our Twitch chat room. You got to remember, Russell Wilson put in a decade in Seattle. A decade. Right. Wentz put in 2 years, 3 tops. Even a Jim Plunkett analogy doesn't work because Plunkett was such a young player at the time, and he had not achieved the level that Russell Wilson had outside of his rookie year. He actually became greater in his second tenure after the Raiders put him back together again. That's why this is so fascinating, Pat. I mean, Pat, the extension doesn't even kick in for another year. It's only $250 million. I mean, it's no big deal or anything.
No. We can print that much in a week. So what happens with this guy is you're stuck with him. That's the next thing. And I saw that little confrontation with one of his teammates, and I think that's been boiling for a while. So he went there with great expectations, not from him. He just thought he was good enough, but the whole city, I was there the first week of practice. They just felt like we've been a quarterback away, and now we got one. And they had every right to think that. They didn't have to do that contract, but they did it, and now they're stuck. And the owner is look, there's only one way out now, and it's not really a way out. There's only one road to take, and that's fire the coach and maybe the GM and start over. But whoever goes in there, and I don't think it's a great job now, whoever goes in there is stuck with Russell for a couple years. Russell can't escape anymore. That's a big problem.
You know, I think before the year we kept, where's Sean Payton going to go? Where's Sean Payton go? Would he work with Russell Wilson? And I if you think you can get him, do you fire Hackett now? And I know you're not for that, Pat.
No, you can't get him anyway. He's going to go to a place where none of these problems exist. He's going to go to a nice, smooth landing like the Chargers. He's not going to go. He's going to go get himself a young quarterback that's a phenomenal player that the ownership thinks we're not fully developing the team, and Sean will take over with full control. And he's not going to go to a place where he's not sure the owners know what they're doing yet. Yeah, they got all kinds of money, but you got to still, the owners have to learn how to own. So I don't think he'd go there personally. And why fire the coach now? Everyone knows it's over. And I'm going to talk to Nathaniel today. I feel bad for him. He's way over his head with this deal. But that and the Russell deal is right on the GM's head. So I think we could see everybody leaving.
Pat, Herm Edwards, when he was with the Jets, was so ineffective at managing the clock that they had to bring in a coach to basically, to tell them when to call timeout. And we're seeing it in the NFL. Now, your thoughts about Jeff Saturday are well known, but, the guy in Detroit doesn't know how to manage the clock either. Todd Bowles certainly appeared Sunday as if he was on the wrong side of managing the clock correctly. Pat, is it like hiring a John Fox and putting him in the booth and he could just say in a headset the way you give Bill Cowher a tip during the NFL Today, or I'll suggest something to Gary and Troy? Is it literally just like getting a former coach to just say, hey, call the timeout now?
Yeah. It's always been that, like a retired former head coach who was a decision maker, and put him in there and let him be the guy that's going to whisper in your ear. Now, I won't mention the name because the guy's still involved in another level, but some of the guys that have been hired to do it say just what you said, David. Hey, now it's time to call out. And the coach down on the field doesn't listen to him, because the heat of the moment is not just us having a cup of coffee talking about football. And when you land up in those pressure moments, not everybody can handle all of them. And what we want is perfection. We want that guy to make the right decision every time. And some of the decisions are debatable. Now, last night, you go through that clock. You were witness to that, David. They just dwindled down from 2 minutes like they had 2 weeks. Right. And when you saw the scramble for 14 yards and he doesn't jump up and take a timeout, and Saturday, he doesn't know what he's doing. He hasn't been here long enough. Matt should have jumped up and taken the timeout. Yes. Boomer Esiason, I say this on your show a lot, he would have stood up and just said timeout because he knew that's what you do. So some of it can fall on a veteran quarterback with great skills and a guy with experience. Matt should just call timeout right there.
Look, at Armstead's going to be out for the Dolphins for a few weeks, maybe longer. How big is that? They have a huge 3-game road trip starting for Miami, and even against Houston, when he was out, they were able to get to Tua. So how big of an injury in your estimation is this, Pat?
It's a big injury because they're fighting to keep this spot. Buffalo's right behind them. There's a rematch coming up in Buffalo. He's got to go to New England. So he's got 2 cold weather games coming up, the Miami Dolphins. So, yeah, these games are huge for them right now. And Buffalo is not going anywhere. They're going to stay right in this race. So without the left tackle, I think we all know what's going to happen. People are going to scheme the pressures and just take advantage of that. And they're not really healthy at the right tackle either. So, yeah, I think – and they're not a great run team, although when they started using the fullback more, which I've talked to Ingle about this, that was a smart move. Put Jeff Wilson behind a fullback and, whoever the running back is, it doesn't matter. But so, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but there's a lot of movement coming up too in these divisions.
Pat, we got about a minute before we break. The Wirfs injury now for Brady. He graded out as the best tackle in the league through the first 10, 11 games of this year. Is this going to cost the Bucs the South?
Oh, you're asking me if Atlanta can pass him is what you're really asking me, right?
Or at least make the regular season finale for the division title?
That's possible. Atlanta, they're doing everything they can. They're firing on all cylinders. That's all they've got. We're not looking at them going, oh God, they're untapped as a running team. They are what they are. And I think their coach does an incredible job with a very mediocre roster. So I don't think they can get there. I really don't. I love watching them, and I cheer for Arthur Smith all the time. But I think we'll look back and say that was one of the best coaching jobs in the NFL, Arthur Smith. Look at that roster.
That's saying something in this league, but that's showing you Tampa, one team who is underachieving, and Atlanta's a team who is overachieving so far on the season, and yet neither of them above 500. He is Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio, moving the chain, CBS Sports, the NFL Today Show, and he joins us twice weekly, courtesy of Pinchers. Pinchers with a dozen locations between Tampa and Key West. Pinchers, where you cannot fake fresh. We'll have more with Pat Kirwan on the other side, get into more of the games from the past week, and maybe even start looking ahead to Thursday night as well. It's our first of 2 weekly appearances with Pat Kirwan, courtesy of the good folks at Pinchers. More with Pat on the other side. Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You back in town?
Yeah. I came back Sunday night. The airport was insane.
I bet.
So I'm here now. It's great. And I'll be here every week. And unless something comes up where I got to go up there, and once in a while I got to do something, and it just pays. I wait till I have 3 things that I have to get done up there, and then I stay for like 1 week and cover them all up.
Get it all done, right?
But otherwise, I'll be commuting every weekend. I don't know if you can see this. This sort of tell you how insane my life is. Here's my flight schedule. Look at those.
Your camera's not on, so I don't see it, but I can imagine. I can imagine.
It's ridiculous. But fun.
Well, I'll have to meet you for a Thursday game before one of these Thursdays.
Yeah. This one might work. This is a good game, too.
It is a good game.
I don't know how Al and Kirk are going to handle it.
This is what's that bar right by the corner of 41 up your
Rusty's.
road? Yeah,
Rusty's.
I can meet you there.
Yeah. We can do that on Thursday.
Yeah. At least for the first half. Then
Exactly.
Perfect. Plan on it, as they say.
Yeah.
Dusty Rusty.
Now, I don't know if you've been there for a second half of third. That used to be a pretty big college bar, but not until about 10 o'clock at night.
I
Still is.
just go there once in a while. Like I was there for a Thursday night game maybe 3 weeks ago. I just sat by the bar. I couldn't believe how crowded it was. That bar is big, and it was bumper to bumper in there. Every table was full.
Yep.
It was pretty impressive, actually.
Busy little place.
My wife and I went in there once last year, and they had live band in the back.
Oh, yeah. They have music usually, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep. Plus, there's no place you don't have to worry about where you're sitting to get an angle on a TV.
That's for sure.
I felt like it was at a Best Buy drinking. Lord. Hey, Jeff Saturday, he looked like a real head coach last night, didn't he?
Hey, listen, Todd Bowles and Dan in Detroit didn't look any different, though, in managing the clock. They really didn't. They were both terrible.
Yeah, except that Dan inspires a crappy football team to play hard.
Well, I agree with that, but you were going clock management. I got to say, all 3 of them failed miserably.
Most guys fail.
I know. It's unbelievable.
I was going to say Saturday looks like a veteran NFL coach now.
He had the deer in the headlights look. And then how about his post game?
I know. That didn't help.
No, I think
that exposed the truth.
I think the post game was worse. If he'd have just said, you know what? In retrospect, I should have called a timeout. I'll never make that mistake again. That's
no. Don't say that second sentence, because that's a lie.
Well,
you're all 3 of us would write that down and wait for next week when he does it again. Hey, a week ago you told us you'd never do it again. You effing liar. Nope. It's a hard job.
It's funny.
There is no preparation. You know that, David, right? You can say whatever you want. Until you're the head coach, you have no prep.
Pat, I got to be honest with you. I don't think picking the right time to call the timeouts is nearly as challenging as these coaches make it.
30 seconds.
I don't. I mean, no offense. Last night, it's pretty obvious when Matt Ryan gets sacked at midfield and there's a minute to go in the game and you have 3 timeouts, you call one of them. I mean, I'm sorry. That's not hard.
15 seconds.
Then why do all the guys
I know.
over it?
I know. Mark was pointing that out yesterday.
Here you go, guys.
It's unbelievable.
Then maybe it's harder than you think, David.
No.
Oh, boy. I would love to put you on the sideline once. David Saturday.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains. He co-hosts that show with Jim Miller weekday afternoons 3 to 7 and then 2 to 5 on Saturdays. And on Sundays, instead of sitting home and watching TV, he's at the CBS Sports Studios in New York helping to produce the NFL Today show. Pat joins us twice a week courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, and many points in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. This is going to be a hell of a week 13.
Yes.
Because we have six matchups of winning teams facing one another. And we'll start with Thursday night. Don't know what Al and Kirk are going to do. They actually have a game, Buffalo at New England. And it's not must win for the Patriots, but boy, it feels like it.
It might be must win as you think about it. They're on the outside looking in. Yeah, they've got 2 wins over the Jets, but they can't fall behind here. So I think it is almost a must win for them to stay alive in the thing. And Buffalo has a lot to fix. And I know you think it's easy to call timeouts. How about fixing the red zone while you're fixing those timeouts, David?
Well, we didn't advance that. I can support David and say, when a quarterback gets sacked with a minute left, we call a timeout. The quarterback should have known that, Pat, and I think you agree with that. But fixing the red zone's a whole nother thing, and part of that is because Buffalo only runs the ball with their quarterback.
Yeah, and he feels like he's a risk. Well, he doesn't feel like he is a risk taker, and his arm has bailed him out. He's in pro football with a huge contract because of that. He's a big-time athlete that can run for a touchdown, and he can stick a ball into a tight spot. So he's going to be that kind. He reminds me so much of Elway. I said it to you guys last week. A young Elway who was a big-time athlete who could do things, and until they got him a running game and until he got old enough that he couldn't do it anymore, except for the helicopter in the Super Bowl. That was who I think this kid's going to be if he can stay healthy. But, the body is starting to get beat up already. And I don't know. I think the coaches are self-correcting. He'll get this thing righted, and because they think they can still win the division, and they're going to be playing. I think they'll do very well in this game. I do not think New England has the weapons to hang with them.
The Bills, after going to New England, get all 3 divisional opponents to come to them over the final 6 games of the season. So this their last road division game for the Bills. It's funny you mentioned Elway. You look back at those Denver teams in the late 80s. They couldn't run the ball, and they had a defense that seemingly against the, 2/3 to 3/4 of the league, they showed up. They were good enough. And then against the elite teams, they fell apart like a cheap watch.
Well,
and now without Von Miller for an extended period of time, if you look at his rush rate, pressure rate, sack rate, and then look at everybody else on that defensive line, Pat, they're vulnerable.
They are vulnerable. Let's finish up that Denver analogy that you made. What I remember most about that defense was they were very undersized, and they were good runaround guys. So when John got the lead, it played into the strength of the defense, rushing the passer. When they got into those tight games and back in those days, there were a lot of power run teams. That was a problem for them. And, people criticize that undersized defense, but today we have a lot of them just like that. So it was a little bit of a different era, and they were built for this era more than anything else, as I recall that defense. The pass rush. So you have 2 choices. And what did they do last week? As soon as they lost Von Miller, they were blitzing Milano. And that's where I think they're going to go again. They're going to get, dust off some pressure packages that they did not need when Rousseau and Von Miller were healthy and rolling upfield. So now they'll go right to the pressure, I think. And what else would they do? Play 3-man rush and coverage? That's their other choice.
David asked you earlier, Pat, about the Bucs and the Falcons. I'll ask you the same thing about the Bengals and the Ravens. Right now, who are you picking to win that division? Because Baltimore has been blowing some games in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati seems to be figuring it out, although they have a terrible division record. When you look at that division, how do you see it finishing out?
Well, I'm starting to think Cincinnati's going to catch them, and I'll go right to Lamar. So who is Lamar right now? Last 8 games, If you add his throwing touchdowns and his running touchdowns, he's 1 touchdown a game. He's got 8 touchdowns in 8 games. So that's a problem. 2, I think a lot of guys are starting to corral him in a different way. I've seen him getting caught more than ever when trying to escape and run and create a lot of yards. Yeah, he had a bunch of yards last week, but when in critical moments, not so much. He's also been sacked 13 times in the last 4 weeks. So they got some issues. And then without his big tight end, Big Mark, you know, he has no touchdowns in his last 4 games. And in an offense that's really at its best when the tight ends are functioning like they should, likely didn't play, they got some issues there. And the defense, which we talk about every year, is pretty old. Look at the age of these guys. Justin Houston, Calais Campbell, a lot of older guys. I don't know if they can keep going here for another 6 or 7 games. And the fans there, last thing I'll say is they don't believe this team's going to win the playoffs. They think they're going to get in and then fizzle out like always. That's the mindset of a lot of Raven fans.
It's funny what 1 2-point conversion can do, because the Ravens had won 4 in a row. And if they hold on and make one more play against Jacksonville, they play 5 consecutive games, Mark, against teams with a losing record. Right. Only the Bengals to finish the season.
And that's why I still think they win the division, David.
I mean, they play 5 winning teams in a row, albeit the Steelers twice and the Browns, and we all know how those division games go.
Well, that quarterback in Cincinnati is getting a full complement of weapons this week, isn't he? And those receivers, now get Joe Mixon back. It's a concussion protocol. He should be back. Joe Mixon was a big factor in the last couple of weeks. So I kind of like where Cincinnati's coming from. I think there's no pressure on them compared to Baltimore. How about the losses in Baltimore? How about the way they lose, David? How many times did they fold up?
Well, and what's interesting, Pat, is last year could be explained. They didn't have Lamar in the second half of the season. Their whole secondary was on the injured list, and they sacrificed the defensive coordinator. Well, now here they are a year later, and take a look at their 4 losses. They bear an awful resemblance to how they lost games last year, which to me, for the first time since he's had the job, I think now we have to look at John Harbaugh and go, hey, dude, your job is to come up with answers, and you're not doing it.
You are rough today. You got the axe murderer is out today, Mark. Be careful. Be careful, Mark. It's you or me or next.
Oh, I've already had it. It might be you. He got me in the 7 o'clock hour, so don't kid yourself. You're on the chopping block. Hey, Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Does Green Bay have the guts to say, Aaron, you got to sit for the rest of the year, and we're going to play Jordan Love? You just heal up. I mean, we have no problem doing it with the Rams. Can you do this with Rodgers?
Well, they already stated they're not going to do it, which I would not have done, but they are. First off, they're coming up with Love on an option year. And a lot of, they're just going to give him the option. It's $23 million, and it's going to be tied to Aaron's contract at the same time. So I would be playing Love, maybe not right away, but their season's over. What I would promise myself, if I was the GM, we're going to play Love for 2 full starts at the end of the year, because they're not making the playoffs. You've got to get Love enough games to decide what to do with him.
He's Pat Kirwan. Weekday afternoons, he and Jim Miller co-host Moving the Chains, 3 to 7 Monday through Friday, 2 to 5 on Saturdays, and then on Sunday he helps produce the CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. See, Pat, I just had 4 hours sleep. That's the problem. Once I get a few more hours sleep and a little food in me, I'll be good. So
why don't we bring you on at 9 o'clock? Stay in bed for a while. Mark and I were having fun till you started going crazy.
With Pat Kirwan, maybe even for more time on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Just a quick Onion headline to make everybody happy. Man returns to work after vacation with fresh, re-energized hatred for job. Ouch. Look at that. Getting a retweet from Tommy Smyth. My day's been made. Tommy's ready. You already retweeted there, Felipe.
I'll give him a call.
You know who this is, right?
I'm not going to lie to you. No.
Bald English soccer analyst on ESPN, Tommy Smyth. Been on TV for years.
And very entertaining.
Super entertaining.
Probably seen a clip of him.
I bet yes. If you were to Google him and see his picture, I think you'd go, aha!
And this is accent upon accent.
Let's see. No, that's
SM. No. SMYTH.
Pronounced Smith.
That's pretty good, Trenton.
Wow, he was on ESPN for 24 years.
Your mic's on. Hey, you think we got any shot of getting Jimmy Johnson on? He's got that book out.
I've sent multiple emails to
Publishers
hawking the book.
Tommy's on hold. We got a minute.
Okay.
It's amazing to me some of the places, because they send out the emails, those that respond and go, yeah, love to book our guys with you, and those in which you think it's a natural, like the 72 Dolphins. There's stuff out about them.
Right, they're doing all that serious podcast stuff with Greasy and Warfield and Zonka.
Responded to all of it. Not even a response back.
Depends on who they play, RCB, if they get through another game. It really and truly does.
Yeah, I don't even know the group that they're matched up with.
15 seconds.
Probably Group A would be my guess. That's the way it works, which means they're going to play either the Netherlands or Ecuador.
Vamos.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
And at 22 minutes until the top of the hour, we are fired up for the U.S. men's national team against Iran at 2 o'clock today. U.S. needs a win to advance. Anything less than they go home and get ready for 4 years from now when we in Canada and Mexico host the World Cup. Tommy Smyth is all about the World Cup. He covers soccer for SiriusXM's FC 157, and he's been an ESPN soccer analyst for nearly a quarter century. And you can follow Tommy on Twitter, Tommy Smyth, and that's Smith with a Y, S-M-Y-T-H, Tommy Smyth, ESPN. Tommy, it's David and Mark. It's been too long. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, guys. Could you send up some of the heat? It's a little bit chilly out here this morning, so maybe we could use some of your Florida heat.
Well, we'd be happy to give it to you, and certainly a little heat today in this game. Tommy, just the press conference yesterday and the weirdness of that and going political, that's not something, I'm guessing that's something maybe in World Cups happen. We're not used to seeing the U.S. players have to answer it. They were very polished in how they did everything yesterday, but it certainly adds to the excitement of this game, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, this thing goes back a long way because the Iranians have been looking for an opportunity like this for a long, long time. If you go way back, what was it, 79? I mean, that's probably when all this started, and they've been looking for a chance since. And then, of course, unfortunately, somebody made a mistake and allowed somebody to tamper with the flag, which is something you don't do. I mean, if you're tamper with the flag of a country, you're looking for a problem, because they're going to retaliate in some way. So yesterday it was interesting, but I mean, it just adds to the flavor of everything that's going on.
And then, of course, the Iranian players with some of the unrest going on in their country, and they didn't sing their own country's national anthem before the first match of this tournament. So there's drama on both sides and really all around. But let's get to the pitch itself. The U.S. has only scored one goal in about 200-plus minutes here. Is that just who they've played, or is that on them?
It's on them. It's on them. They don't have somebody at the moment who can put the ball in the back of the old onion bag, and you need someone to put the ball in the back of the old onion bag if you're going to get out of the World Cup group. And when I was on with Mark a couple of weeks ago, I said that, everybody thought that Iran were going to be a pushover. And I said, don't let that confuse you, because they're not going to be any pushover. And if you look at what they've done, I think they've scored 4 goals, haven't they? They've scored 2 against England and 2 against Wales.
What will the U.S. have to do to create offense, Tommy? We're used to watching them attack. They were very patient against Wales. They had a great first half and then really were lousy in the second half. A solid game against England. But what do they need to do to create more offense?
Well, you need to be fit to play the ball in and around the box. I mean, they've done very well in midfield. I mean, the midfield has been fantastic. Tyler Adams and McKennie and Musha have done an unbelievable job. They have been the key. But the problem is that the ball is not being played inside quickly enough. And if it is played inside quickly enough, and I'm talking about inside, when I say inside, I'm talking about the 18-yard box. You know, Pulisic carrying the ball in is fine. But at some point, you got to get rid of it. I mean, your hope when you carry the ball in is that you're going to draw somebody out, or maybe draw two people out to come and take the ball away from you. At that point, you have to make a decision. There must be somebody inside that is not being marked, and you need to get them the ball at that stage. Now, Pulisic had a great shot last time against England, and it just came off the crossbar. If it had been 6 inches lower, it was in the back of the net. And you need more of that from him. But you also need more of the ball being played around. I'm not sure who he's going to play. I'm not sure who he's going to play as the striker today, or as we call it, the tip of the spear, because nobody has worked so far. I mean, it's possible he may go back with Sargent again and put him inside.
Well, is Berhalter playing the right guys? His substitutions in the first match were second guessed. He's hardly played Gio Reyna, who, you know, some feel is one of our maybe 5 most talented players and is healthy, in Berhalter's own words. He's healthy. So do you think he's playing the right guys?
Well, obviously he's not if you're not getting the results. I mean, everything depends on the results you get. Obviously, Gio Reyna needs to be on this team. He needs to put him on someplace. And I mean, I can hear him, but yet not. I really don't hear him when he says that, okay, Gio Reyna doesn't fit into the system I'm playing. But if he doesn't fit into the system you're playing, change the system so as you can get him into it. And I know there are people out there shouting on the radio already, but Tommy, it's too late to change it now. And yes, it's not a good time to be experimenting when you're in a must-win situation to stay at the World Cup. But you have to do something. You have 1 goal, as you said, in 2 games. That's not enough. That doesn't cut it. So, I mean, how about if you put maybe if you put Weah in the middle and put Gio Reyna in on the side, and then you have Pulisic coming in on the other side. How about, you know, maybe you can try something really radical and do something like that.
The other side of this, Tommy, is that the U.S. has been lousy on set pieces. Why is that?
It's just it's a case of Pulisic's set pieces have been not good. And I mean, for a lad who cost, to put it in perspective for people who don't know why I keep talking about Pulisic, is when he was bought from Borussia Dortmund, he was bought by Chelsea, he cost something in the region of £87 million. I mean, you could run a small country on it, never mind buying a player for it. And he can't get his ball. For some reason, he insists on taking the corner kicks. And in both games, he didn't get them across the first defender. The idea is you've got to get that ball into the mix and give everybody a shot at it. But if you're allowing the first defender to knock the ball down, that is not going to do you any good. So I'm surprised that Berhalter hasn't said, hey, there must be somebody else on this team that can take free kicks.
He's Tommy Smyth, SiriusXM Soccer Channel, FC 157, also a longtime ESPN soccer analyst. Follow Tommy on Twitter, Tommy Smyth, that's Smith with a Y, Tommy Smyth ESPN, Tommy Smyth ESPN. Tommy, is the U.S. clearly the second best team in this group, or are maybe they not ready for prime time and they're overrated?
Well, I wouldn't think that they're clearly the second best team in the group. It's very difficult to figure out who is the second best team in it. I mean, it comes down to, it looked like after the first day that Iran were rocked by England when England scored 6 goals. But still in all, Iran came back and scored 2 goals that day. And then you have Wales, who looked good and looked bad. They're playing England today, and they're still not out of this whole thing. So this whole group is still very much up in the air. I mean, it would take a tremendous result for Wales to knock England out. They'd have to beat them by 4 goals because it comes down to goal difference. But then when you start to come down and you say to yourself, well, who's the better of the 2 teams that are playing today, Iran or the US? I mean, that's going to be decided on the pitch today. You will know today who the second best team in this group is. And I'll tell you one thing, folks, it'll be nasty. It will be nasty because Iran plays that type of a game. That's the culture of the way they play. And, you know, there are a few players on the U.S. team who are suspect in terms of, hey, you know, if you go for them the first 5 minutes, you may knock them out of their game. You may take them, they're thinking about every time they get the ball that you're coming and, you know, there's going to be a boot stuck in there someplace. So you can, I would say that in the first 5 minutes, just watch for it. I would say somebody's going to kick for this up in the air in the first 5 minutes and try to take him out of the game because he has that kind of a, there's that kind of a feeling around that if you get to him and be very physical with him, that you will get him to not be concentrating on his game and he may not be as good as he should be. But on the other side, I mean, I've seen guys who that happens to, and instead of them backing away from it, they really get into it. So, you know, it's always a dangerous ploy to come up with because Pulisic could turn around then and become the man who's going to win the game for you. He could play them off the field. So there's a lot of things to look for today. And mostly, you know, if you're looking for players, see how close they're marked. See how close they're going to be in proximity to one another. And as the US go forward, tend to create space. Part of soccer, which is so important, and an awful lot of people don't realize it is to get the space and get you in behind. If you can get the defender looking towards his goalkeeper, if he has his back to you, then you're in great shape. If you can get the ball in behind him, and as Jack Charlton used to say, who was a great coach of Ireland many, many years ago, Lord be good to him, he used to say, if you can get the defender running back towards his goalkeeper, he's confused. And he has to make a decision. If the ball drops in front of him, what does he do with it? I mean, because he doesn't have time to turn around and clear the ball. So that's one of the ways you're going to have to put pressure on these guys today. Don't let them turn to clear the ball out of there and put pressure on them inside. And then you could get a goal or two.
You know, Tommy, when you started talking about Pulisic and players getting after him, it really happened in the Wales game. They were all over him. He complained a lot. I thought he's the leader. To me, I think you're onto something of how Pulisic handles the aggression that's going to come at him because it seemed that the team follows how he handles it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the leader. He's the poster boy of U.S. soccer, and rightfully so. I mean, he's same with Chelsea in England, who are one of the best clubs in the world, and, you know, he's making a boatload of money every week. So, I mean, now you're playing with your country. You have to produce. But like I've been saying all along is, you know, it's one thing, the pressure in the World Cup. It's one thing, you know, you're going to play Iran today. That's the pressure. But the pressure comes from when you pull that jersey on and that jersey says USA. You are representing the country and you know that the country is watching you. Now, you can kind of feel as a young man yourself, if you just put yourself back into their shoes when you were a young man, what kind of pressure that will put on you puts an awful lot of pressure on you, apart from the fact that you then have to play the game. But the fact that you're wearing your country's jersey and the fact today, you know, it'll be interesting to see how these young players do react today because this is real pressure. I mean, this pressure generally doesn't come until the next round of the World Cup when it's, you know, win or go home. It becomes a knockout round after today. So if they get through, I mean, this will be the first game where it's based on knockout. They have to win. A draw is no good to them. And that will be an advantage that Iran has. But there's an old saying, many managers will tell you, many managers have told me over the years, the hardest thing in soccer to play for is a draw. So it'll be interesting to see if the coach parks the bus, as we say, which means he puts 4 or 5 players back along the back line and just boots the ball out of there. Every time it comes in, boots it out of there because they don't have to score. Keep in mind, Iran don't have to score today. 0-0 sends Iran through to the next round of the World Cup. So in that respect alone, they have a big advantage.
He's Tommy Smyth. SiriusXM's FC 157, that's the soccer channel. Also a longtime ESPN soccer analyst. You can follow Tommy on Twitter, Tommy Smyth, Smith with a Y, Tommy Smyth, ESPN. Gut feeling today. What's your gut tell you?
My gut feeling is, you know, like But the show I do on Grumpy Pundit on Sirius is called Grumpy Pundit. So I'm going to be very grumpy afterwards if the US don't score a goal. They need to score at least one goal. I don't think that they will allow a goal. If you get a goal in front, the game is over. The longer the game goes without a score, the better the Iranians are going to feel, and they're going to feel more confident in themselves. I just have a feeling that the US will find a way to get that goal today and get them out of there, that they qualify for the next round.
Tommy, thanks so much for your time and your insight. As we said, it's been too long, but we're very appreciative. All the best with your show later today, and hopefully we can talk again later in the Cup.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves, guys. Enjoy the heat down there.
Absolutely.
Will do. Tommy Smyth. Follow him on Twitter, Tommy Smyth, Smith with a Y, SMYTH, Tommy Smyth, ESPN.
It's that time of year when the guests start paying attention to the temperatures when they join the Florida Sports Network.
Yes.
They get jealous.
Yeah, they do. They do. They have the bigger, more high-profile gig than us. We've got the weather. Right? That's how it works. We both wish we could trade. You know, they're already getting cold and grumpy. Okay. And, you know, we're looking for a better gig. So, you know, we're already willing to do a trade. I don't think one goal's enough today, by the way.
Really?
Iran has scored 2 goals in both matches. I don't know how you could go into this match thinking that one's going to be enough.
Well, it depends. As Tommy said, are they going to just try to not let us score?
I don't think so. It's not their style. From what I've seen, it's not their style.
This one, I think, will be, you know, because the U.S. got a bunch of yellow cards in the Wales match. I think this will be a very rough first 15, 20 minutes before it settles down.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be brutal.
Miller and Moulton. Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte. We thank you for listening. We'll be back in the morning. The bonus hour in the 239 is next.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth. that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Just got a text from somebody that said Tommy Smyth on a big World Cup day. You guys are bigger than I thought.
Where was the Carousel Beach Inn on Fort Myers Beach? That ring a bell to you, David? No?
No.
Someone bought it, and they're going to make luxury condos on it. So just little things. Fort Myers Beach, as we know, it's gone.
Oh, yeah. Final score today, I say 2-2.
I just don't know who's going to win. I was really excited when I saw the rundown this morning. I saw Tommy Smyth. I was like, right on, David.
Iran scores during the 13 minutes of stoppage time. I think, what little I know about soccer just from watching it, Canada Relief, I just think they play it more physically. I mean, we've only given up one goal. I mean, we've played pretty, and that was a penalty. But Mark, your point about the yellow cards, I do think that if we win and we advance, there's going to be 2 or 3 guys who are not able to play in the next round because of yellow cards.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking about canceling a tea time today. That's how much I'm interested in this. It's either that or tape it and watch it when I'm done golfing.
There you go.
Probably B.
Felipe, you all in?
Oh, I'm all in. I'm already texting my friends, like, are we going to watch this at a bar?
Well, that's the only thing I'm thinking is that I could cancel golf and go watch this somewhere.
That's the thing. Bars are going to be packed for this.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Coming off a holiday weekend, people got to work.
That's good. Good point. But America, will come back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this final Tuesday of November. Big soccer match in 5 hours. the U.S. and Iran. U.S. needing a win to advance. Anything less and their World Cup stay in Qatar is over. Mark, I love this comment in our Twitch chat room from Adam, our diehard Jags fan. He said, Tommy Smyth makes me want to go out and buy a USA soccer scarf and then buy a tall boy beer. I am ready now. How many of you were, I'm interested in what have you, and you heard Tommy Smith end last segment, and then you said, we're taking the day off. I'm all in.
That's the question I have right now. Do I want to watch this in public somewhere? Do I want to go out amongst the people? And I don't even know where to watch. I mean, you can watch it anywhere, but I would want to go somewhere where there's a little bit of a crowd.
Well, it depends on where you're going to be. We took in the last World Cup and we went downtown Fort Myers.
But that was to watch England.
Well, that is true.
Because we weren't in the last World Cup, David.
Correct.
If you recall,
Correct.
We couldn't get past Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, it was a road match, Mark. Sketchy conditions. I'm being sarcastic.
I know you are.
And so now here we are. And the expectation when the draw came out that, hey, we're going to get out of group.
And it was. And Felipe, I have to ask you, because you're all into this today. You're wearing your USA basketball jersey and you're all fired up, and that's great. For David and I, playing Iran means more because of the hostage crisis and all the things that happened back in the 70s. Does that even resonate with you at all? Because you're young. It's something you learned in school. It wasn't something that you had it was not part of your life. So does playing Iran mean anything to you other than it's a big match for the U.S.?
I mean, it's certainly an elephant in the room,
So you're aware, but you were aware of
course.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
Hey, you weren't aware of Jenny 8675309, and that's much bigger.
I was aware of that. 8675309. Yeah. All right. Anyway, this is a big match. This is the biggest match in U.S. This is one of the biggest matches in U.S. men's soccer history, right here. With all the hype, all the years of, we're different now, we're better, we're younger, we have these European players. This is their opportunity to prove it.
One of the biggest matches in U.S. men's national team history. I mean, we did make a quarterfinal a generation ago.
I got you. I don't think to me, I don't think he's that far off because the political overtones of playing Iran, I think, is a huge deal.
I will say, just usually, Mark, when we go to the World Cup, we get out of group and then we lose right away. I mean, you take a look at our history. We usually get out of group and we lose. A really good World Cup is to get out of group and win a match. But usually we find a way, 8 years ago, what was it? The dramatic goal from Landon Donovan in stoppage time. And that was when you just had like 3 minutes of stoppage time. Now you have a half hour. I mean, my goodness. I mean, I have to put my glasses on to read just how much stoppage time do we have. Oh, wait, is that 13? Is that 18? Man. But anyway, it used to be like a 95-minute match. You got 1 minute of stoppage time in the first half, and if you went to 4 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the second half, you're like, man, they really piled on the stoppage time. Now you look at it and you think, well, it's about 105 minutes.
Yeah, they're actually taking all of the stoppage time, adding it together, and you're getting 90 minutes of soccer. I applaud it, for the record.
I'm totally in. Totally. I want to start the yellow cards for the flopping and the stuff. I mean, let's get real with this. I want to use replay to penalize the floppers. The heck with the fouls. I want to penalize the fake fouls. Oh, he stepped on my toe. I need the stretcher. Good. You're done then. That's it. Here's the deal. If the stretcher comes out, you can't come back. Just so you know, that would be a rule I'd institute if I'm running soccer. If we bring out the stretcher, you're done. Just so you know, it's like concussion protocol. Can't play.
I like where you're going with this, but I'm going to forcefully disagree, David, because what I really enjoy is when they take the guy on the stretcher, dump him behind the goal, and he comes back out in 35 seconds. It's one of my favorite things of the game.
Jogging too, and he races back onto the field.
Sometimes they cramp up, David.
I feel like I'm like watching the Jetsons or the Flintstones. Wait a minute. He just got run over by a Stegosaurus and a Brontosaurus burger. Okay. He's dead. He's in the next scene after commercial. What are you talking about? He's fine. But listen, we got to get out of group. Okay. If we're going to get serious and that this group is then going to play in the World Cup in 4 years, and we're hosting it, and in theory we're going to have a good result because that'll be the best team we've ever put on the pitch. What do we got? 9 guys who play in Europe, for goodness sakes. They're that good that they're playing in Europe.
But to lose today or to have a draw today and get knocked out of group by Iran, that's a devastating blow to U.S. soccer. It's one thing if they, if the third game would have been England and they get beat 2-0 against the team that's considered the 5th best team in the world and they get knocked out. Okay, it happens.
Well, you're right also because let's face it, and then most of us, we don't know much about soccer. We follow it every 4 years. They put on the red, white, and blue, so we're in. But if you watch them play England, who's ranked, 4th in the world? Well, we were the better team. Now, we just got a draw, but we outplayed them. And that's why the British are so upset. I mean, the draw is bad enough, but they know it wasn't like last time we won one with Britain. They totally outplayed us. Our goal was a fluke, a misplay by their goalie. They totally outplayed us. Okay, the British were bummed at the result, but not bummed at how they played. We outplayed them 4 days ago. And it's like, hold on a second. If we can outplay one of the top 5 teams in the world, we can't beat Iran?
Exactly. And if we happen to get the goal again, will they go into the shell? Because they can't play for having a 1-0 lead being enough. They have to continue going forward no matter what the score is. And how will they handle Iran attacking us if the U.S. is to get a 1-0 lead? Because they did not do very well against Wales when we had the lead. They looked pathetic.
You and I make the hockey analogy, but it's true. Name a sport in which the United States plays backwards well. Okay, like Germany. Germany gets up 1-0 on you. They can just shut you down. They can play defense. They're usually bigger in the box and they head everything out. And it's tough to get the equalizer against Germany. They get up 1-0 on you. You think, oh, blank, we're done. All right. That's not the way it is.
Even crazier.
Right. But that's not the way it is with the U.S. We go forwards. We go forward in hockey. We go forward in soccer. We're not the biggest, baddest team, okay, on the pitch. The only sport that we're the biggest, baddest team in is basketball. In the others, we're, athletic. We're scrappy. We go forward. So I think if we get up 1-0, we got to get a second one here.
I agree. Because if they would have played that way against Wales, they wouldn't be in the position they're in right now.
No, they wouldn't. In fact, this thing would be over.
And we wouldn't even have to worry about today. So that's Miller and Moulton's 2 cents on today's match on the pitch in football.
We'll say, though, didn't make the cup in 2018, not make it out of group in 2022. Holy boy, it'd be 12 years since we, made it out of group?
And guys like our former producer, Colin, who's a scarf-wearing soccer fan.
Yes.
And not just of USA. He's a Liverpool guy. He watches the Premier League. Those guys that are the ones throwing soccer in your face whenever they can, those are the ones that are going to be completely distraught.
Well, yeah, because yahoos like us get to look at them for the next 4 years and go, shut up. Win something. How about this? Humor me. Get out of group. Get out of group and call me, okay? Next time I watch is when you get out of group.
But, they had threw a lot of promos at us. They got us excited for this team.
And during football season, too. I mean, so that's another thing. Come on. Some of us have not watched football because of you guys. Interrupted our Thanksgiving holiday to watch you against England. Nice effort, by the way, though. It was entertaining.
I will say waking up with live soccer during football season is spectacular.
Well, you and live sports during the day. I mean,
and the morning. I mean, skip the day. Live sports in the morning. I'm just chomping at the bit to get to 10 o'clock with no 5 a.m. game today, David.
I'll tell you what. You know what? In a former life, you know what? You should have been a Cubs fan. Nothing but day games.
Loved the Cubs as a kid. Raced home from school to watch Ryan Sandberg play, David.
You would have been great in the 50s with baseball. They're playing nothing but at 1 and 2 o'clock.
If I had a dream, holy cow.
You would have raced from school. You would have run into the nearby ballpark.
3 martini lunches and then go to the ball game?
That's when you're an adult. I'm just talking about when you're a school kid. You would have snuck in the 4th inning all the time. You would have had relationships with a couple of the security guards that would have said, here you go, kid.
Go sit in section 12 today. I know so-and-so's not going to show up.
You saved your lunch money so that you could buy popcorn or peanuts at the game so you could sit there and watch. I mean, that's you in a former life, baby.
Sounds glorious. Everything about this, I have a grin ear to ear right now. I'm happy. You got popcorn, peanuts, and Cracker Jacks all in a dream right now. This is fantastic.
Felipe in his USA basketball jersey. Can you wear a USA basketball jersey for a soccer match? Is that allowed?
Absolutely. You can wear a USA hockey jersey for a soccer match.
I'm with Felipe on this.
Okay.
I mean, the guy I noticed in the jersey more than any when they kept showing the Michigan band, there was one Michigan fan wearing the hockey sweater. And I'm like, look at the guy in the hockey jersey on. Look at how good he looks there.
All right.
Just got to wear the colors, baby. Red, white, and blue. And that's why I've got on green and maroon today, I think.
Oh, you can go home and change. That's because you were planning on playing golf.
And those plans, I think, are getting changed. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when What's on Tap? 25 minutes ahead on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. my daughter paid the utility bill for Christmas, I'd fall over. I mean, that's a pretty big bill for an 8-year-old who doesn't have a job.
Pound a Guinness and listen to Tommy Smyth again. What is it to put the
in the onion bag?
Onion bag.
Kick the old onion into the onion bag. Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Felipe, I pulled these two names as birthdays today, and I don't know who either of these people are. I want to know their significance. I know who now. I know Chadwick Boseman. Is that a big name? He was
Oh my gosh,
he was a Black Panther. So I
and
know.
he played Jackie Robinson in 42.
Okay. All right,
Rest
and
in peace.
then the Game.
Oh, the Game. He's a rapper.
Yeah, but is it a big name?
Yeah, the Game is pretty big. Yeah, Chadwick Boseman. That's a good one. He passed away 2 years ago.
Yeah,
cancer.
And it is Russell Wilson's birthday today, by the way.
33.
4.
You know the song that goes, "This is how we do." Ding, ding, ding,
No.
ding. No. That's the Game.
He's old. He's 43.
Yeah. Russell Wilson still has more bathrooms in his house than passing touchdowns this season.
Me too.
What?
Me too. I have more bathrooms than I have passing touchdowns. What's the house you've been to with the most bathrooms in it?
That's a great question.
I know your answer, Mark.
Oh, I know mine.
Probably
That's
like
a lot of bathrooms.
Probably like 7.
That house in Palm Beach is in double digits. I know that.
Oh my goodness.
And then I've been to Mar-a-Lago too. So, I mean, that would actually be the one. I went to one of Don's parties once.
30 seconds. I saw a tweet that said, if you got laid 9 times since September 12th, you've scored more than Russell Wilson.
Did that just get us kicked off Facebook for another month?
We'd have to be on it to be kicked off again. We're in Facebook jail.
Zucker jail. 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Minutes past the hour, the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm in Indianapolis after the Steelers beat the Colts on Monday Night Football. Mark in the cozy confines of Southwest Florida, where it'll be in the 80s again today.
Yes, it will.
For
those of you streaming and listening to all parts of the United States and around the globe, sorry. But kind of like Reese's, not sorry.
It just works out that way. The biggest sports thing that's going to happen today is the U.S. and Iran at 2:00 Eastern. Pre-match begins at 1. The one thing I do like is at 2:01, man, that it's on. I mean, they mess around. This isn't like college football where 3:30 means 3:40. You know, the NFL is the same way. 101, baby. They kick that sucker off. It's like, let's go.
You know what there won't be after this game today? A lot of jersey swapping.
I don't know. There may be a few guys from Iran going, listen, if we meet you out back, would you take us?
I'm just, that bad Sly Stallone movie Victory set in World War II. I'm waiting for the U.S. to beat Iran, and then all the Iranian players just leave with the U.S. and defect.
But the second biggest thing that's going to happen today is what? About 7:45 or so tonight? College Football Playoff Committee.
That's not at halftime of the U.S.-Iran game?
No, see, that's Fox. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, you might as well. I mean, you might as well. But in all seriousness, it's not the top four. I mean, we know it's going to be Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC in that order in all likelihood. It's, well, okay. If we're right and Georgia and Michigan are already in, then TCU noon on Saturday and USC Friday night, they have to win to be assured that they're in. But what if one or both of them lose? And they're both facing really good teams, as you would expect in a Power 5 conference championship game.
Well, and Chris Landry's tipped his hat for 3 weeks on this show that I believe he's going to tell us on Friday that he thinks Kansas State's going to win.
Correct.
I mean, he is literally, every time we talk TCU, well, it's going to be a good game. I think they'll win a close game. But Kansas State, he said it for 3 weeks on this show.
And I don't disagree with him, by the way. So then that means that the big story tonight is potentially, so who's 5 and who's 6? Because obviously one's in the on-deck circle and one's still in the dugout, so to speak, waiting for TCU and or USC to get done with their games. If one of them loses, in theory, and by the way, Mark, for no matter who is 5 and who is 6, do you agree with TCU and USC have to win to be in? If they lose, they're out. Do you think an 11-2 USC, 2 losses to the same team, Utah, and say it's close again, then you've got TCU 12-0. They lose a close one to what? 11th, 12th ranked Kansas State? Utah's like ranked 10th. I mean, these would be good losses. Neutral fields for both.
Believe it or not, I think TCU would deserve it before USC because it would be only their first loss.
But gut feeling, do you think TCU has to? So you think if they lose, they're out?
Yes.
So TCU's 12-1 would be considered less than Ohio State's 11-1 or Alabama's 10-2.
Yes.
Because of who they played. Okay. So then, and I think most people just assume, well, if these guys lose, they're going to be out. Like Clay Travis threw out there, he goes, I got to be honest, I think these should be the 4, period. He goes, now, I also think Tennessee should be ahead of Alabama, and he's, a big Tennessee fan, blah, 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 and he made his case. But he's actually of the belief, like, listen, I think these are the 4. And if they lose, I think these are the 4. Huh, interesting. But then it's important who's 5 versus who's 6. And when the Ohio State-Michigan game ended, you have to acknowledge every single person who watched it from a media and fan standpoint at 4 o'clock Saturday went, well, you can't put Ohio State in the playoff. Come on.
I think it was during the break with Pat, may have been on the air, that I made the comment, if I was Jeff Saturday in the post-gamer, I would have said, hey, I'll never make that mistake. You can't ever say that. I'll say the same thing to the media. They all got up there and said, well, Ohio State doesn't deserve. Yeah, because their assumption is TCU and USC were going to win. I think they immediately have to say, if things stay the same, they don't get in, but I think they deserve to get in ahead of Alabama, or they deserve to get in ahead of Tennessee.
But there were some that were like, listen, you just can't put them in. It's a 3-touchdown loss at home. They got whooped. You can't reward them with a playoff spot. I don't care what happens. Oh,
so
okay.
I guess my reply to any of them would have been, so you can put a 2-loss team in? I mean, first off, how can you justify Tennessee right now with what happened against South Carolina? Come on.
Also, as some people have brought up, they lost their star quarterback to an ACL injury. You're not putting in the team that put forth most of the season, if you will. But there were a lot of people, Mark, and I'm talking about media members, Saturday, who said, listen, the one blowout loss for Ohio State trumps 2 losses on the last play of the game for Alabama. They were saying that. Now, they were not advocating that Alabama make the playoff, but they were basically saying, hey, if I got to rank them, I'm going to rank the Buckeyes behind Alabama, and I know it's 1 versus 2 in the loss column, but I don't know what to tell you. That 1 trumps their 2. That's what people were thinking on Saturday afternoon and evening. It's now Tuesday. That's a long time. Now the committee's going to tell us who's in the on-deck circle if TCU and USC can't win.
And I'm with you, David. I think Ohio State's going to be 5. But on my shocked scale, I'll be at no more than a 4-5 if Alabama's ahead of Ohio State.
I'll be at about a 6.5 to 7.
Okay.
Just because they've never put a 2-loss team ahead of a 1-loss team when it's really counted.
The only thing, in my only reply, and it's a really inadequate reply, that 2-loss team's never been Alabama.
No, but I will say one time that 2-loss team was Ohio State. In 2017, Ohio State was the 11-2 Big Ten champions. They had suffered one of their 2 losses, though, was a blowout road loss to Purdue. Alabama was 11-1, didn't even win the West, didn't even go to Atlanta. Alabama was 4, and Ohio State was 5. Oh, by the way, Alabama won the national title. These are the 2 teams who have benefited the most from borderline scenarios in the last 8 years. Ohio State and Alabama both have benefited, and both won national championships when they benefited, backing up the committee's, decision. But that, to me, second biggest thing going on tonight. It's not any of the games, basketball, hockey, what have you. It's so, okay, committee, because in theory, how can 5, 6, and 7 change a week from now? None of them are playing. So aren't you basically lining up in order? First mulligan, Buckeyes. Second mulligan, Tide, or vice versa.
And while, David, you should be right. You are right. We've watched this committee justify other teams' losses at how they rank games. And if Purdue were to beat Michigan or Georgia demolishing LSU, does that take away from Alabama or enhance another in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to be snarky here in 5 seconds. This is how bad a loss it was for Ohio State Saturday. It was a big recruiting day for the Buckeyes. They had 2 kids from Ohio there. They both committed to Michigan after the game. That's how badly they got beat.
And you wonder why they were chanting, "We want Urban," after the game. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, we're of the belief both Georgia and Michigan can lose, they'll still be in. They'll just drop them down. I mean, Georgia, remember, was undefeated last year. Got beat by Alabama in the SEC championship game. All they did was drop them down.
My God. The Broncos have scored fewer than 20 points in 6 of their last 7 games.
I believe, how many games have they played? 11?
I believe so.
I believe the stat is if they had scored 18 points in all 11 games, they'd be 9-2.
No freaking way.
Well, just look at it.
Oh my God.
If they had just scored 18 points in every game.
What?
Can I turn this on?
Oh, my bad.
Well, I don't turn the mic on without permission because you're in charge of what's going on and off the air.
I know.
So when you have my mic off, I assume it's off for a reason.
I didn't realize that I didn't turn it on. My bad.
And we've only brought up that Denver stat every week this year on the show.
No, I know, but like hearing it out loud is just astonishing.
Hearing it out loud from someone other than David?
No, I mean, just reading it, you know? I just read it.
Oh, so reading it, not hearing it, reading it.
I mean, you know, God, we're coming back.
USA, USA, USA.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour is up. 17 minutes until we're done. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Bud Elliott tomorrow. We know he's not a big fan of the rankings, but there are parts of it tonight that are really relevant. We will ask him about it. Also, recruiting, some of the coaching hires that have taken place in the last few days. A lot to talk with Bud Elliott about tomorrow. Seth Everett also to join us tomorrow.
Wonder how Seth will be with the U.S. win or loss, because it seems that all he cares about is how it affects his Chelsea players.
Right. I know. He won't say it out loud that he secretly might be rooting for a loss or a draw. But yes, I'm hoping that the glow of his hockey team having so much success will allow him in other parts of his life to maybe not get everything he wants.
I do like the goalie for your team. Loses last night and basically said it was a blank performance. I was blank. Yes, you were.
Yeah.
But it's nice when you can realize it and we don't have to explain that to everybody.
Right. I sucked.
Yes.
Back to you in the studio.
Maybe Torts' viral thing fed off on a lot of other players in the league. All right, let's get to it.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1877 we start. Edison demonstrates his hand-cranked phonograph for the first time. 10 years later, 1887, the U.S. receives the rights to Pearl Harbor. Today in 1890, David, was the first Army-Navy football game. Navy kicked their ass. 24 spit. Today in 1934, the first NFL game nationally broadcast was the Bears beating the Lions 19-16. Today in 1962, David, Major League Baseball decides to revert back to one All-Star game per year after the 4 seasons in which 2 All-Star games were played.
Think about that. It's true. They did it. They played 2 All-Star games. That's how big the sport was. They're like, you know what? We'll play a June game. We'll play a July game. What do you say?
Today in 63, LBJ sets up the Warren Commission to investigate the assassination of JFK.
That went swimmingly. No controversy. Everybody agreed with their findings.
Today in 1972, it was a great day because the co-founder of Atari releases Pong, the first commercially successful video game at Andy Capp's Tavern in Sunnyvale, California. Think about it. 2 lines and a square. Because it wasn't a ball, it was a square.
And it was huge.
It was amazing.
Unbelievable.
The Yankees signed Reggie Jackson to a 5-year deal today in 1976.
And it was for like $700,000 a year too. I mean, people were losing their minds. 5 years, $3.5 million. He comes in and he says, "I'm the straw that stirs the drink." Oh my goodness.
Today in 2010, Adele releases Rolling in the Deep. Would end up being Song of the Year, and she'd get a Grammy for it as well.
It's pretty good.
We could have had it all.
It's really good. She's got a pretty good voice. This just in. And 5 years ago, Matt Lauer was fired from the Today Show. because he was a pig.
But they waited until after he did the Macy's Thanksgiving Day show. Had to get that sucker in. Yep.
Vin Scully would have been 95 today. Gary Shandling would have been 73, and Chadwick Boseman would have been 46.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those celebrating birthdays today. Chuck Mangione's 82. Wrestler Jerry Lawler is 73. Howard Johnson is 62. Don Cheadle's 58. Mariano Rivera's 53. Rapper The Game is 43. Russell Wilson, 34 years old today. And Stephon Diggs is 29. And that, David, is today was the day when. What did I miss?
Well, first off, usually most of the actors, actresses, athletes that you mention, I think that, oh, wow, I thought they were, younger. Or Don Cheadle's been around forever. He's only 58.
Yeah.
Wow. Natalie Wood drowned today in 81.
Drowned?
That's a few people's story.
Okay.
They're sticking to it. Others, well, kind of like the Warren Commission.
Yeah.
They agree to disagree. Put it this way, it's Robert Wagner's story.
Yes, it is.
That. We know that. George Harrison died 21 years ago today. I will say, controversial, talk about people not agreeing. The UN 75 years ago today voted to partition Palestine. That was just, people just accepted that and just ran with it. That hasn't had any problems whatsoever. So let's see. We're going Natalie Wood's death, the Warren Commission, and the UN partitioning Palestine today. Are there any more things that we could bring up that a lot of people don't agree with? That's pretty much it, Mark. That's all I got.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, for the good today, I've got a little snarky. I couldn't find a really good story, so I went with a snarky good story. A driver parking at the shopping mall at an IGA across the pond was parked close, came back out from the grocery store, and the car was right next to her on the lines, and she couldn't get her baby in the car, so she left a note, which said, learn to park between the lines, not on them. Couldn't get the baby in the car because you parked like an absolute inconsiderate tosspot.
I'm sorry, tosspot?
Yeah, that's an obnoxious person. I had to look it up too, David. I do like
tosspot.
You inconsiderate tosspot.
Wow. Talk about
I've been accused of being a tosspot before.
I say. Earlier today.
For the bad, we go to Naples, where couple came home and noticed things had been moved around and turned on. They called police and found Brandon Bowen in the back bedroom. He had broken through the back kitchen window and was entering a screen. He'd already been a felon many times, so he gets to go back where he calls home. That's jail.
So was he napping?
Napping in bed. Hiding, napping. Not trying to get out.
I don't agree with the breaking into the house, but as you're breaking in, you know it's not yours. You know you can't stay, right?
Finally, the ugly, we go to Port St. Lucie, where 4 young, stupid criminals were arrested for trying to steal 19 French bulldogs.
Ooh.
They searched the home of 2 of the felons and found 5 bulldogs. Then they found the rest with the 2 young ladies that accompanied these 2 men to rob the 19 bulldogs. As far as interesting thieves go, going after the French bulldogs is not going after the household jewelry. Makes them even dumber because they have to then sell the dogs. It seems like you're going to get caught no matter what happens in this one.
If you put the ad out, however it is you put it out, don't you think the authorities will go, Huh. Got some people here trying to sell bulldogs. Where do you think they got them from?
All of these smart criminals were between the ages of 17 and 19, which may explain why they were caught so easily. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, November the 29th, 2022.
U.S. and Iran, Fox, 2 o'clock. They do a 1-hour pre-match show. I have no idea if it's useful or not. I do know they set up a set anticipating like it was going to be a college football Saturday, and they were going to have a bunch of people behind them. Yeah, they're not allowing like people on the streets. So
sometimes there's 4 or 5 people there.
Exactly. I don't want to say it was a miscalculation or anything. And I'm willing to bet that those 4 or 5 people are staff.
Not a doubt in my mind.
On a limb. And then tonight, the college football playoff committee show will not only know who's 1 through 4, which we know that. It's who's 5, who's 6, who gets in if TCU and or USC falter. Only 3 games in the NBA tonight, Mark. 2 of them on TNT. Do you know the Dallas Mavericks have a losing record? About almost a quarter of the way through the season. They're a game below 500. How can Luka Doncic's team have a losing record? Anyway, Golden State at Dallas. Golden State at Dallas and the Clippers at Portland. That's your TNT basketball doubleheader tonight.
Great hockey night, David. Lightning and Bruins at 7 o'clock. That is a terrific hockey game. And then the Panthers play at Calgary tonight. It's also interesting because of the shifting of players in the offseason. Yeah.
A couple of other good games as well. Carolina at Pittsburgh, Colorado at Winnipeg. Winnipeg actually has more points than the Avs. So you're right, Mark. 9 games in the NHL. It's a good night. It's a good sports night.
Good sports day with USA and Iran. Starting it off at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
If you missed any of our show, we had Tommy Smyth an hour and 10 minutes ago. May want to download that part of the show. Previewed the match.
And also, if you are somehow just joining the show, we've been put in Facebook jail.
Unbelievable.
And David's job today is to figure out why.
And Mark's going to have to give me our username and password so that if I finally get a hold of somebody with Facebook and they go, well, what's your account? What's your username and password? I can't go, I don't know. I don't handle that sort of thing.
Exactly. Which is why I don't think we'll get to the bottom of this today. I feel pretty strong, pretty confident in that we may be in Facebook jail for a while. Which means if you want to download the show, you can do it at all the usual places. But if you want to watch the show, it's YouTube or Twitch from this point forward. That's the twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton channel. And YouTube's the same thing for that matter. Pretty easy to find us. Just search Miller and Moulton on YouTube or Twitch and you'll find the show.
Well, we know what Felipe's play of the day is going to be tomorrow. It's going to come from the soccer match.
We never did play of the day.
Win, lose, or draw.
And you have a 2-2 tie.
I do. There's 37 minutes of stoppage time, and Iran scores in stoppage time to kick us out of the World Cup 2-2.
2-1 win. It'll be controversial because Iran will get somebody with 2 yellows that'll get thrown out of the game. And we'll play them 1 man down, and that'll be the difference. And that'll just complicate the complaining about this match. Something bizarre is going to happen today.
Can you imagine
a controversial goal?
A late penalty. That official will have to leave his country, take his family with him.
And watch
we joke,
the
but
anthems.
We're not joking.
Watch the anthems. The Iranian anthem is one of the bigger parts of the game. During their game against England, the Iranian players were arm in arm and did not sing the anthem in protest of what's going on in their country right now. They've been told by the Iranian Republican Guard, it's basically sing or else. Not just for you, but for your families. To me, it's One of the more fascinating parts of today's match.
Yeah, we're not making any of this up. It's like public knowledge. I mean, the country has, not pulled any punches publicly. You will sing the anthem. You will sing it loudly. You will sing it proudly, or else don't get on the plane and come back. And by the way, your families, things may not go well. That's all we're saying. Then you got the U.S. We apparently messed with their flag. We showed the flag, which is more in support of the people who are protesting in the streets of Iran. So, yeah. We got that going on.
So 2 matches at 10, 2 at 2. England plays Wales as well. They've got it now set up as it's the third match. Both games will go simultaneously now. So you'll have 2 at 10, 2 at 2 as we get through the group stage with groups A and B playing today. And that's how this will go for the next few days as we finally get through the first stage of this year's World Cup.
But Iran has a win, so they have 3 points. Our 2 draws only add up to 2 points. So the only way we can leapfrog Iran is to beat them. And if we don't get a win, we're out of the World Cup. And that's following the last World Cup, which we didn't even qualify for.
I say they win.
I hope they win. I don't trust the coach, quite frankly, to play the right guys. I'll feel really good if Gio Reyna's in the starting lineup. Apparently, within the team, they're looking at Berhalter and saying, dude, why is this guy not playing? He's one of our best players. And Berhalter's going, well, bada bing, bada boom. And apparently the answer's not being received well.
So watch for that on the U.S. side. 2:00 USA in Iran in the World Cup. Lightning taking on the Bruins tonight at 7, which should be a terrific hockey game. The Panthers traveling to Calgary to take on the Flames. So you can watch a little soccer in the afternoon, a little double dip of Florida hockey tonight. Have a great rest of your day. We'll break everything down in the morning right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Yeah.